Kind of feel that this intro is reserved for a competitive baseball team, Paulie and Ben. This is what we used to play in the playoff run. It's the Jim Morrison combined with Queens of the Stone Age, Better Living Through Chemistry. Now that sounds good. Right now, Better Living Through Chemistry. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl. He's our executive producer. Good morning, Paulie.
Good morning.
Good to have you here.
Good to be here.
We'll get into everything you did last night in a moment. And straight from the Tommy Bahama scene himself. Did you go to Jimmy? Now, Paulie went to see Blink 182 last night. Are you fresh off a Jimmy Buffett show?
I am not fresh off a Jimmy Buffett show.
If you went, Ben Higgins, to a Jimmy Buffett show, that is the shirt you should wear.
Technically, this is not a Hawaiian shirt. I think a Hawaiian shirt has to be a button down.
No.
And this is a
collared
shirt.
I feel
like a golf shirt.
I feel like if
this is a link sole shirt.
It is.
So technically, it's good for golf.
Yeah. It's got a Hawaiian design.
Yeah, it's got a tropical pattern to it, but a muted, understated.
It's muted. Yeah, it's not all different colors.
Yeah, it's not the giveaway shirt that the Padres had last week. In terms of its loudness,
which I love.
That was a loud shirt. This is a quieter version.
I like it though. I like that.
You asked me, what I'm doing. I said,
"Are you golfing?"
I'm doing laundry at some point. We were down to we only had a couple of choices, and
it was that or I don't like the term wife beater, but I don't know what to call it anymore.
I've never worn one of those in my life. Never will.
I can't. I don't look good in it. What do you call it now? You can't because let's be honest, it's 2023.
Is that not a tank top?
It is. It's an undershirt tank top.
Yeah, an undershirt tank top.
But that's such a bad term. The wife beater. How did that ever happen? Like, how did that term come to play? Oh, that's him. He's rocking his wife beater. I've heard that my whole life. Can't call it that anymore. You cannot call it a wife beater anymore.
I mean, I think the term originated based on the
the stereotype
of the type of person who wore it.
Well, he wears them. He's not a wife beater.
No, of course not.
That's so stupid. What would you call it? A tank top undershirt? It doesn't. Feed right now. Did it work?
I think so.
Let's see.
We'll find out.
Okay. Sounds better, guys? I don't know. I mean, hopefully it sounds good on the radio. We're Ben and Woods. We're 97.3, The Fan. So there. Paulie fixed it. Great job, buddy. Great job as usual getting us dialed in. Paulie had probably the most exciting, interesting night of all of us last night. You worked at Channel 10. Right?
Yeah, and a normal work
night. I had the very, very normal get home from work, decompress a little bit, pick up the kids, play baseball in the street with the kids. My wife got her new glove that I got her for Mother's Day. It was a custom job from Rawlings. Thank you to our friend Baseball Nick for helping me facilitate that. I thought foolishly that they sold pink gloves. I had sworn I'd seen one somewhere. No, I couldn't find it, so I had to order it. Called him in a panic, 2 months ago, and said I need to order a custom glove. He's like, "It's going to cost you," and it was, it did. But she wanted her own glove, and I said, "Great." So we got the glove. She's been breaking it in, you guys, mercilessly.
Good.
Sitting next to me in bed with the pounder and just whack, rolling it. I mean, just like laying there watching the game, pounding her glove. So. That doesn't get that old.
She's treating it seriously.
She's very much taking it seriously. So
you got to break a glove in before you can use it in a pressure situation.
We went out to the street and played a little wiffle ball. The whole family did, actually. And I got to throw some BP to the wife. I got to tell you, she's got a very good eye. Will not swing at anything down. Will not swing at anything in off the plate at all. And will absolutely barrel it if you leave it in the zone. And I was very, very impressed by her. She was braless.
Can she give Jake Cronenworth some tips right now?
I'd like to keep those two separated at this point. She was braless in the street. So that was fun for me. throwing her beeps yesterday, but she can mash, man. She absolutely mashed. So we did that. We did the dinner, get the kids ready for bed, put them to bed, and turn the Padres game on. Meanwhile, our beloved Paul Reindl, if you're watching the YouTube stream, go to youtube.com, search for Ben and Woods, and you can watch us. I don't know why you would want to, but you do, apparently. Paulie's got his concert tee, Blink 182, played at Pechanga Arena, San Diego last night. Now, I am a big fan, huge fan of wearing the shirt the very next day.
Got to.
Have always been a fan. I was mocked mercilessly for it.
Did you
times.
go to the Deftones show last night?
If they were here, I would have.
You're wearing a shirt that says Deftones.
Yep, and I am.
I think it's still the move.
Okay,
I saw a video of had to be high schoolers.
Yeah,
the day after a Taylor Swift show, which that's the hottest ticket in America.
No
right now.
question.
That's a flex if you go. And it was like the cafeteria in high school, probably 200 people all wearing
Taylor
the
Swift.
t-shirt.
Can I tell you one of the saddest days of my
if
life?
you didn't go to the concert the night before, probably should
You're
have
a
gone to
loser.
school the next day.
Can I tell you one of the saddest days of my life? It was growing up in Simsbury, Connecticut for a time. And boy, was I into music, man. We're talking probably somewhere between 8th and 9th grade. Metallica's And Justice for All had just come out. And people lost their minds. It had the song One on it. And I mean, it had kind of crossed over from, oh man, Metallica's that band where those heads that smoke Marlboros that are like, 13 and have the patches on their jean jackets too, a little bit more mainstream, right? And it had just started sweeping the country. So I had a group of friends that all went to the Metallica show. My parents wouldn't let me go. And the next day, all of them showed up at school in their Metallica t-shirts. And I was, in some Izod polo or something. I'm like, this is awful. This is, and I never forgot it, man. I never, ever forgot.
That's the one with the little alligator.
It's the alligator.
Yeah.
And they're all like, dude, when you played Blackened last night, and I'm sitting at lunch eating like, I was so bummed. It was that day. And that day I said, you know what? If I go to a show, I'm wearing the shirt the next day. You probably thought I was going to mock you for it. No way. I'm a huge fan. You know what I don't do though? I don't wear the shirt to the show.
Okay.
I don't wear the shirt to the show.
Everybody there was wearing
Had a Blink shirt.
their shirts like they just changed it or threw it over whatever they were
Now
wearing.
that you can do just to get it home. I often tuck it in the belt.
I had it tucked in the back pocket while I was standing and then like kind of just draped it over my shoulder or around my neck when I was walking out because I didn't want to wear it. It was hot and sweaty in that
buddy.
arena. But yeah, a lot of people wearing it there. Maybe they bought multiples, but I was like, I'm saving it for the show.
Yeah. So the show, so it's Blink 182. They were broken up for many years. They're back together again. San Diego band, as you know. Paulie, your seats look pretty good.
They weren't bad.
Not bad.
I mean, look,
there's not a bad seat in
Pechanga Arena.
Pechanga,
There's
man.
really not a bad seat. And we were kind of looking, we're like, all right, like there's the floor, but if you're way in the back on the floor, like I don't know that I would prefer those.
No.
Like because it's flat.
Yeah, it's flat. You have to look. You're 6'12".
I'm not. It's not a problem for me, but my buddy's not as
6'12"
tall,
would be 7 feet, right? Yeah.
Question: do you have to buy a T-shirt at every show you go
I do.
to? A T-shirt or a hat or something?
I didn't.
Or do you wait if like it was a good show? Like,
that has no impact on it.
It has no impact on it at all.
I get them before the show if I want one, and it's have I seen this band before? Do I already have a shirt? Maybe I don't need another one. Do I love this band and I want a new shirt? Like, do the shirts look cool? There's a lot of factors.
There are some factors because, like Shelly, when she goes to a show, always has to get either a T-shirt or a hat, no matter what. I'm go, you won't ever even wear that one, but she like has to get one every single time, and I'm going, you want to wait in line? You don't have to do this. You don't even love this band. You just had the ticket. Don't like 100% of the time has to have a souvenir from every single show that she goes to.
I like that because it a lot of that helps go to support those artists. And I think a lot of the bands that you guys go see and that she sees, that's good. If it's a smaller, alt country, they're in a van.
There's a show at the Belly Up to someone's there, like barely ever heard of this band, but they got merch in the back.
I'm gonna get one.
The merch.
Yeah, I like that. I am
of course the absolute opposite. I will almost never ever ever
they're $40
buy a souvenir shirt going, I'm not gonna wear that. I don't need that. I
can
live without that.
If you don't like the band or don't if you're not gonna wear it, yeah, don't buy it. I'd say, but it is cool to support the artist, and they make a lot of money on merch, or not a lot of money, but they make some money back on merch. So I always think that's a cool thing. I can stream the new,
Like we make a lot of money on our merch,
like
almost
$3.
yeah,
I think
like almost $3.
Like,
I
I
think
can
for a shirt.
we can all stream the latest Queens of the Stone Age record, or
Right.
the latest
You
Bully
pretty much
record.
have everything free at your disposal.
Yeah.
They don't make much money on the streaming of their music
No,
either, do
they
they?
make almost nothing.
What do they make? How do artists now make
Tours.
money?
Tour and selling their records, and depending on the deal that they got.
Do they get a lot of money on the tickets sold on the tour, or does the venue get most of that?
It depends. It depends on who you are, and it depends on what deals you work out. Listen, I mean,
Sounds like a hard
I
way
would say
to make a living.
a large mainstream band probably gets paid either way, whether it's sold out or whether there's 100 people in the arena.
absolutely.
It's all taken care of beforehand, and then the rest it's on the venue.
And it just, again, there's no cookie cutter blanket way to say, oh yeah, like we sold 100 tickets, but we're still getting our $5,000 or whatever it is. It matters. It matters who the band is and what deal, how good of a manager do you have? But I'm a big fan of the band tees, and what I've done is I had to really scale mine down, but I didn't want to throw them away. So I've packaged them for my kids later on. And in 25 years, if they're like, oh my God, this is dope. My dad left me at this point, there's probably at least 60 t-shirts, and I'll wear them for a year, and then I'll put them away for the kids. But you can hear everything for free, but it's kind of like what we do. You can hear Ben and Woods for free, and you don't have to ever spend a nickel on Ben and Woods, not one dime. You never have to go to 7 Mile Casino. You never have to go try a Swagyu burger. That doesn't. It helps us out, but it doesn't go, oh, hey, you went to Swagyu, I get a nickel from your burger that you ate. It doesn't work that way. But that's, people always ask how
like
they can
royalties.
Support. Yeah, like royalties would be amazing. Hey, Ben, did you get your royalty check? Yeah, mine was $400. You guys are really crushing it over at Sedano Ford. I mean, you just now that'd be nice. You sell a car and you say, Woodsy sent me here. You get a new Bronco? Hey, Woodsy, here's $300. I mean, that's a done deal. That is a done deal. So
rewrite the books.
Yeah, no doubt. So Paulie went to the show. You got a little audio for us?
Yeah, a little bit.
So here's the thing. When a band that we loved, and we all have them, boy, when they get back together and they do, I don't think this is a money grab type deal for them. They have been through a lot. Travis Barker almost died. Mark beat cancer
recently.
Yeah, Mark beat cancer. Like, this is one of those things like, hey man, we made some really,
we talked about it. It was a little emotional.
We made some cool stuff together, and people like this band still. Let's go out and do it.
Like, they're working on a new album.
Yeah.
It's not even out. So they're not, this is the reunion tour. Like,
But
they're not promoting the new album. They played all the hits.
You run the risk when you see a band from your youth. You're like, please God, please let them be good. Please let them sound good. And I've been to some good ones.
Their first
and I've been
album
to some
came out
bad
in
ones.
94, 95, 96, somewhere in there. Like, they've been doing this a long time. But
and you worry. You worry if they're going to sound good.
Feeling right, started making out, and she took off my pants, but then turned on the TV.
Sounds just like it.
Laughing about the time she walked away from me.
Yeah, good, Benny. Take on Ben.
no, it was, dude, it was
1991, their first
91.
record.
Good God. So over 30 years.
Jesus,
dude, they still
time
got
is
it.
flying.
I never really learned how to play an instrument. I know a few chords on a guitar. I took 2 drum lessons before I quit, but Travis Barker has always been one of my favorite musicians to watch.
Phenomenal.
Like, you can't help but just stare.
Yeah.
He's so freaking good.
Man.
He didn't do the upside down thing, but they did do the elevated. They rose his drum kit like high above the stage while the other guys were on the stage playing. But dude, it was awesome. They still got it.
Sounds great. That sounded great. They played all the hits.
Saw our buddy Ryan Phillips was sitting 20 feet away from me last night. Saw some tier ones. It was an awesome night.
Good for you. You don't seem too tired.
Yeah, not too bad.
Good.
Not too bad. I was in bed by midnight.
Better living through chemistry.
Yeah.
Paul goes to a late show, still beats me to bed by about 45 minutes.
Well, and beats you to work by like 40 minutes. So
good job, Paulie.
I will say, I got some questions. What happened in the Padres game last night?
Well, we can fill you in on that.
Another rain out.
Blink 182
2 in a row.
Blink took the stage at about 9:35 p.m. last night, and I looked at the receipts. My phone, there wasn't great service in Pechanga Arena. About 9:32, 9:33, my phone blew up from you guys,
Yep.
from my wife, from a
Yep.
couple of buddies. Somebody that was sitting across the arena from me that's a Padres fan was like, "Oh, here we go again."
Well, long
didn't sound like it
long
was,
story short, you remember Monday's game when the Padres had a lead, but they didn't have their good bullpen guys.
I remember that.
And we said, well, if they had had their good bullpen guys, they would have won that
Easy
game.
dub.
Well, yesterday was just like Monday, except they had their good bullpen guys,
Oh no.
and they still lost on a walk-off anyway.
Hmm.
I don't know that I want to play the blame game again.
I
That was
do.
fun yesterday. You want to play the blame game.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll get to it coming up. Our Padres recap at the bottom of the hour. First, though, it's a listener Dominic selection. He won Take on Woods yesterday, so he gets to pick. Our daily Diddy song will also pay off the incorporator. Jesse Angler had to work the word rubblization into last night's broadcast with Tony Gwynn Jr. up at Oracle Park. And then we'll jump into another gut-punching, excruciating Padres loss. Aren't excruciating losses just delightful out there? We're here for you, though. Again,
Do you like excruciating losses out there?
You like sandwiches out there?
No, but I do love excruciating losses that keep me up all night. It's the best.
So we just replay yesterday's show. Change
We
a few-
could.
make a few edits.
We could.
you almost could.
We almost could.
Almost could. Slightly different version of the blame game, but it's all coming up with Ben Woods. Stick around. We'll check traffic with Kelly, then get going here on a Wednesday on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Pretty damn good pick by Tier 1 Dominic, who whipped my ass yesterday. Well, 5-4. It's not an ass whipping, but still a loss is a loss. I got to do better. I will do better. It's called accountability. You guys hear that out there?
Kind of like 4-3. It's
Yeah.
not a you can get your butt kicked.
No, still a loss.
but
though.
it is a loss, and
Yeah.
a loss hurts.
Yeah, it does. This must be the place by the Talking Heads. Admittedly, not the world's biggest Talking Heads but I love this song. Puts me in a good mood.
Dun, dun, dun.
Are there words, or is it
Yeah,
just
there's words.
Okay. Oh, there we go.
Fantastic. Reminds me of the movie Wall Street because it's in that app when Charlie Sheen.
I feel like I've heard this in a few movies.
Charlie Sheen's making his homemade pasta. He's finally hit it rich after he's scamming people and doing dastardly things. But he's got his smoke show girlfriend and his amazing Manhattan apartment and making homemade pasta, drinking wine, living the high life, as it were. But yeah, great tune. Great selection. Love that. Love that a lot.
You'll have a chance to take on Woods in about an hour, less than an hour at 7:10, and maybe beat him and get your own Daily Diddy selection
Yeah.
tomorrow. Doesn't happen that often, but
Swiped one from me today.
every once in a while, Woodsy goes down.
You guys are
in our game.
You're gonna miss. I was gonna do Islands in the Stream today, and now I don't get to. Maybe I'll get to tomorrow.
Maybe you'll be in a different mood.
Maybe I'll be in a different
something
mood.
else.
Yeah.
You never know.
Exactly right.
Never know. We had the Incorporator yesterday. Jesse Agler joined us at 8:35, and as part of each Tuesday visit, we give him a crazy vocabulary word that he needs to incorporate into that night's radio broadcast of the San Diego Padres. Here's the setup from the segment yesterday. Your Incorporator word for tonight is rubblization. Rubblization, very simple, construction and engineering technique that involves saving time and transportation costs by reducing existing concrete into rubble at its current location rather than hauling it to another location.
Oh yeah, it like breaks
Love
it
that.
up. Yeah, me too.
That's a
Rubblization.
great word. Really fun to say. Love
Yeah.
it.
All right, so Jesse seemed enthusiastic about the pick yesterday of Incorporator word. Now, last week, he needed an extra day to complete his assignment.
He did.
I'm assuming, Paulie, that he got it done at some point last night
He
at
did.
Oracle Park.
He texted me. I said he got this one done in the 8th inning, a little later than usual, but 8th inning last
Tense
night
portion of the game.
at Oracle Park.
Very tense.
Lovely night again at Oracle Park, although it has certainly cooled off a bit since first pitch as the sun has gone down. It's not yet pitch black here. Some deep blue skies all around. Playing just about 10 or 15 minutes north of Old Candlestick Park, where it was never comfortable, they say. Pitch to Kim is outside ball one. That building is gone. This thing, remember, opened up now 23 years ago. They did the demolition down at Candlestick Point, the rubblization, leveled that thing. Now it's a state park area.
Dang.
Yep. Very clever.
Son of a
So
bitch.
clever.
Very
I
clever.
love the setup. I love the setup. The long setup. PNC is that? No, not PNC. Oracle. Oracle last night looked pretty miserable. Pretty miserable.
They had the graphic of the wind, like where it was
Yes.
going, and it's just like in all different directions. It's fast, it's slow, it's moving. How do you ever catch a pop-up or a fly ball in that place?
Bro,
I have no idea.
Especially, I mean, there's a reason they call them big league pop-ups. Was at the game last Friday night. Somebody hit one. One of the Rays caught it. I go, there's no way. There is. I've been catching fly balls my whole life. I catch it 1 out of 10 times. It's 7,000 feet in the air, and these guys get under it, and they're just by the side of their face, not even looking.
And you don't even think about it.
You
when,
don't.
like when it's up high, like near the top of the stadium, it's in a 35-mile-an-hour gale going
Yeah,
one direction.
yes.
But then when it comes halfway down,
It
it's in a
goes the other.
15-mile-an-hour wind going the other direction. It really blows the mind that they ever catch them, and yet almost every time they get under it and catch those things.
Yep.
And Padres had a good game defensively. I thought they played a pretty crisp game last night and still ended up losing to a Giants team that just can't seem to lose right now, no matter what they do.
You know, there were some crisp moments. Then there were some moments that looked like they were put in the crisping sleeve and put in the microwave for a minute and a half.
Got a little soggy.
Yeah, I'm
But
again.
Manny made an incredible defensive play.
Great play.
There in the
You know,
the seventh inning.
Kept it at 1 at that point.
Yeah.
But let's pause on that. Let's go to break on time
Okay.
for once. We'll come back. We got it. There's a lot more questionable decisions being made right now. And I think the way I'm looking at it is I think there's a lot of overthinking.
You
going
thought
on.
it should have been Luis Garcia out there last night. Bob Melvin
Now,
blew it.
Mike says in the chat, I have boarded the Fire Bomel train when he took Wilson out after 6 pitches, 6 effing pitches.
That's definitely going to be a hot topic of discussion.
He is not the only one that is weighed in with something similar to that.
The other thing I want to talk about is Austin Nola. We have to talk about it. It's the pivotal moment of the game. Just again, this team is allergic to adding on. They're allergic to 500. They're allergic.
There's a lot of interesting discussions here because I'm not sure I agree with you on some of these takes,
Okay.
but we'll talk about them all. Our Padres wrap up coming up next as the 4-3 loss to the Giants just sticks in the craw this morning with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. And this hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by SC Johnson Raid. Reminder, you can join Gwyn and Chris this Friday. They're going to be broadcasting live at Bootlegger, downtown corner of 8th and Market. Got a bunch of specials while you're there. $6 Coors Light drafts, $25 buckets of Topo Chico seltzers, starting at 2 through the end of the game. Also going to be giving away Padres tickets, Guns N' Roses tickets as well. It's all brought to you by Coors Light, Mountain Cold Refreshment, keeping San Diego chill. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Winning Chris this Friday, starting at 2 o'clock. All right, Padres wrap-up is coming up next. There are a number of moments that, once again, were pivotal
And
for the
confounding.
Padres
And confounding.
in the game last night. It's not as though we're talking about a team that's losing 8-1, and you know what? They've got hundreds of issues, and there's just no way they can fix them. It always comes down to one or two things every single night.
Yep.
And once again, there were a couple of moments last night that ultimately ended up costing the Padres the game. We will discuss them right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Kia of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the premier auto family, here's Kelly Tannick.
Traffic is sponsored by Gomez Trial Attorney. Seriously injured, get a real trial attorney. Get Gomez. Assisting a little leftover slowing on northbound side of the 805. This crash right before H Street. Everything now moved over to the right shoulder. And southbound at 5, we've got this accident in the center divide right before Claremont Drive. If you've been injured in a car, truck, or motorcycle accident, Gomez Trial Attorneys is ready to fight for you all the way to trial. Get a real trial lawyer. Get Gomez. Call 833-GET-GOMEZ. I'm Kelly Danik with Ben & Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's a shame if they lose.
You can visit Pity City, but you can't live there.
Oh, it's been a great day today. Can't wait for more.
Hey guys, it's Woodsy live from the Crapper again.
Did you miss any of the Padres game yesterday?
Cancel the parade. That's why you play the games.
Oh, God, here we go.
It's the Padres wrap-up with Ben and Woods.
Slam Diego? More like fail Diego.
Presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino, fun above all else. On 97.3 The Fan.
I just felt the way that the roster is built, they would have to outscore their opponents to win.
0-1 pitch, line the other way. That'll get it done. And over the head of the left fielder, Conforto up against the wall. Grisham has come in. Fernando held a third. And a double for Juan Soto gives the Padres a 1-0 lead. 1-1 to Manning. Pitch on the way, and a ground ball slowly to the right side. Handled by Villar. He's coming home. The throw's way off target. Everybody's going to be safe. Now a throwback to second. Soto goes in standing up. Tatis comes in to score. The Padres lead it 2-0. And the decision-making there by David Villar at first base, perhaps not the best. 2-1 pitch. And Conforto bounces it towards second. Kim charges, goes to second one. Bogart's turn is in time. And a double play. Estrada comes in to score. And the Giants on the board. It's 2-1. But as we said, Seth Lugo and the Padres trading 2 for 1. CU.org. Fernando sends this one in the air to deep center field. Matos is back at the wall, looking up. Gonna go! Fernando Tatis Jr. His 15th home run of the season. His third hit of the night. Padres get that run right back. It's 3-1. Here's the 1-0. Crawford swings late, grounds it up the middle. Bogarts can't get there. It's into center field. Matos rounding third. He'll score. The throw goes to second base. An RBI single, Brandon Crawford, and a 1-run game in the 7th. 2-0 on Peterson, who's 0 for 3. And that is sky to deep right field. Fernando goes back to watch. This is fair. Gonna go. Bounces out into McCovey Cove. Home run, Jock Peterson, and a 3-3 game in the 8th. 3-2 again to Jock Peterson. Here's the pitch from Hader. It is outside ball 4. Matos will score on the walk-off walk, and the game is over. The Giants walk it off for a second consecutive night in extra innings yesterday and in the bottom of the 9th here. A 4-3 win for San Francisco.
Yeah, again, we could have probably added on in some spots, and I think that probably ended up being the difference. We got nicked up for one run in the 7th, 8th, and 9th, but it's they got a big hit when they needed to, and obviously the Peterson home run was huge. It's a lot of times what happens earlier in the game that kind of dictates where it goes sometimes.
Well, I agree with Bob Melvin 100%. while we'll once again talk about the bullpen usage a lot and maybe probably too much, I think a lot of these games are being lost earlier when the Padres
100%.
have a chance to add on and, put an opponent away, crush them, and they just are unable to get those big hits. They went 2 for 10 with runners in scoring position again last night.
Broken
That's
record.
200. That's their season average.
Broken record.
That's the historically bad hitting with runners in scoring position that continues to plague these Padres. And to me is 80% of the reason that this team is not where it should be right now. It's not the pitching. It's not the starting pitching. It's not the relief pitching. It's not really the offense as a whole. It is simply not coming through when you need to come through during games where either you are behind and you can take a lead or you're ahead and can add on to a lead. They're getting hits. They out-hit the Giants the last 2 games. Both games out-hit the Giants. The Giants came up with the hits when they needed to. The Padres aren't doing that. And I keep thinking, because I've learned through the history of baseball, yes, teams will go through slumps with runners in scoring position, but that doesn't really mean much. It always averages out in the end. Teams always hit better with runners in scoring position than they do regularly. The Padres are defying logic, continue to do so, and I don't have an explanation for it. I really don't. I see fans with their theories that this team is, pressing too much. They feel too much pressure. They're not concentrating in the right moments. I don't know what it is. I really don't. And I can sit here for 4 hours and I don't think I'm going to come up with it. I am baffled right now, Woods. It's very frustrating. I'm baffled.
I mean, look, when you have a guy in your lineup that you're calling on to bunt every time he comes to the plate, maybe he shouldn't be in your lineup. That inning, that to me was a big turning point. And Bob Melvin.
The problem is, I didn't catch the game last night. I was at the concert. There's a couple of guys that come to mind when you just said that. A guy coming up to the plate looking to bunt every time.
Well, I mean, Austin Nola.
Was it Nola or was it Grisham?
Nola. It's Nola. Grisham actually had 2 knocks last night.
Okay.
And again, played really good center field, as he always does. Austin Nola jabbing at that. It wasn't a suicide squeeze. It was a safety squeeze. Ha-Seong Kim got too far off the back. He did.
I was going to say,
He did.
the mistake on that was not Austin Nola's.
No,
It
the
was
mistake is
Ha-Seong Kim's.
having Austin Nola and having a guy in your lineup in the 9-hole that you don't trust to do anything other than lay a bunt down is not a recipe for a World Series contender. It's not a recipe for a playoff team. And if that's what you have to run out there, you know what, Benny? Grisham on first. Who was Grisham on first?
Kim on third.
Kim on third, yeah. Who's on deck?
Fernando Tatis Jr.
Yeah, I think I want to get to him. I'd like to get to him. How about this instead? Grish, go. Off and running. You're gone. You steal that bag. And then Austin Nola, you stand there with your D in your hand until he strikes you out or he walks you. You can't hit into a double play, Ben, if there's a runner on second, third. But this, oh, God, Austin Nola's up. He's going to lay one down. Crap.
Well, that's why you call a safety squeeze, so that if he doesn't bunt it and get it down, it's okay. He's just out at first.
Sure. But
you can't really hit into a double play on a safety squeeze. It's up to Ha-Seong Kim. You can't get picked off. You can't get too far off the base. You know that Austin Nola may pull back and not even attempt on a safety squeeze.
Both of those things can be true, though. If you have a guy in your lineup that you're only calling on to bunt every time, he shouldn't be playing.
But you want Gary Sanchez in there? Gary Sanchez, the illusion has evaporated quickly. He's won for his last 27
I'll take him
and looks. I mean, Austin Nola has way more hits than Gary Sanchez and way less playing time in the last week. Gary Sanchez is
you're joking. Right
yeah,
now.
no, I think Austin Nola has 3 hits in the last week.
No,
Gary Sanchez has 1.
You're joking with that take.
I'm not joking with the take. You can't play Gary Sanchez every day when he is getting no hits. He's got no hits.
I'll take him every time.
And he looked really good behind the plate. He saved. I mean, the game ended the way it did on Monday night, but it would have ended a lot sooner without him.
He needed a day off.
Back there.
He needed a day off. You're wearing him to the nub. He's not hitting anymore. You can't put the same catcher behind the plate every single night.
Then why
Use
why
whatever-
not have somebody else up?
Who do they have?
Sullivan
Was
Plawecki,
terrible when he was up
anybody.
there.
Anybody. Is he worse than 054 with runners?
I'm
in
not
scoring
trying to
position?
defend Austin Nola. I'm just
Ben,
saying you can't.
he's not good
you
at
can't
defense.
play the same catcher 162
Well, of course
games.
not. Of course not. He's not good at defense. He doesn't throw out runners. At least Sanchez throws out runners.
He at least should be my DH. If he's not
Sanchez
catching.
absolutely should be your starting catcher. You still need a backup catcher.
No, what is Nola there for? So again, in that instance, yes, Kim got too far off the back. He did, and the catcher made a great play on it. He's got to see that ball down for sure. But again, you're in that point where you're like, I have this guy in my lineup. All I want him to do is bunt. That's a problem. It's a problem. That's a problem with roster construction.
I agree with that. It's becoming predictable.
And especially with Tatis on deck.
I mean, you get a runner at third. Nola's up. There's one out. If I'm a pitcher, I'm thinking he's probably bunting. I'm going to throw a unbuntable slider outside and see if I can get them to make a mistake, which is exactly what happened. The Giants took advantage of, what Austin Nola is not able to do right now. I'm not defending Austin Nola.
He did not pull back, by the way.
But
he jabbed at that ball. He didn't get the bat on it.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's a suicide squeeze, Gus Kim's a dead man.
It's because the pitcher threw an almost unbuntable pitch. I mean, a foot and a half outside because they probably had an idea that a bunt would be on. It was almost a pitch out. But you can't get picked off there if you're Ha-Seong Kim on a safety squeeze. Because you had Fernando Tatis Jr. is coming up next. You're in scoring position.
You can't have a guy in your lineup that you only use to bunt and not throw guys out. The whole thing. I mean, it's just I like Austin. It's a great guy. He's having the worst season I've ever seen, man. This is the worst season I've ever seen. Just not very productive. Yeah, I remember one of those hits. He hit a bloop fly ball down the line for a double. I remember that. It's not like he's ripping the cover off the ball. What's his BABIP? 130? I mean, seriously, like there's hitting the ball and putting together better ABs, but Gary Sanchez can hit the ball out of the ballpark.
I guess he only has his one hit too. So they both have one hit this last week and a half. You've got 2 hits out of your catchers since
it's terrible.
So that June 14th or something.
But again, you're talking about the potential for a big inning. How many times do we get a guy on and he just goes nowhere? He just goes nowhere. The other thing I want to talk about, obviously, is bullpen management last night. I can't let Bob Melvin off the hook for this one either. This made no sense to me. It still doesn't. There's really no reasoning around it. So you've had your guys rest the night before, lose close game. All right, well, we were in here yesterday saying, look, okay, we've got those 3 guys and they're ready to go. Seth Lugo, 66 pitches, 5 innings, 5 strong innings, kept you right
Which
there.
you knew you were going to do.
Bob said that was right.
So you knew you were going to
wanted.
probably have to cover 4 innings in the game
You absolutely
last
knew
night.
that. Why was there not a move made yesterday to bring any other arm up? Instead we DFA'd Nabil Krismat. I'm not saying he should have been in there, but where's somebody to maybe help bridge the gap a little bit after guys are kind of taxed, right? So then he throws Tim Hill out there. And Timmy, I love Timmy Hill, but he went 2 high stress innings the night before. I did not think we'd see Tim Hill in the game last night. Wilson for the 6th, which if I don't want my highest leverage guy really other than Josh Hader there. Give your offense the chance to maybe come back. If he does serve it up, maybe gives it up a little bit. But Steven Wilson comes in. How many pitches did he threw? 6. He's got to come back out for another inning. He's got to.
Now, the Padres don't like to do the up and down as much. And, that'll probably mean Wilson would be unavailable today if he's up and down and throws 2 innings.
We're losing these close games by get 6 pitches.
Yes, Tim Hill gave up a run.
Yeah.
I don't know that Tim Hill was ineffective.
He got a bunch of grounders.
He got a bunch of grounders. A couple of them got through.
Bad luck.
There was some bad luck. He only threw 13 pitches. He walked the first guy. That was on him. After that, it was a bunch of grounders, which is what Tim Hill does. He gets a bunch of ground balls. Got the double play with the bases loaded when he needed it. Then he got another, lucky grounder through. I don't know that Tim Hill was a terrible choice there. He did what Tim Hill does.
I mean, he gave up a run, again, it came back to hurt us because we just don't add on. I think Bob Melvin, this team has showed Bob Melvin enough to know, hey, we're not getting the job done with runners in scoring position. And I can see Bob Melvin's point of like, yeah, we're not, but we will because we have too much talent. I can see that. We all thought that. Everyone thinks that
Nick Martinez is the one who made the worst pitch
no
of the
doubt,
game.
no question
To
about it.
Jock Peterson. That's the pitch you can't make in a game, in a one-run game. If you're the setup guy and you got a dangerous batter like Peterson, you can't make that pitch that floats out over the middle of the plate. That was on Nick Martinez. He was the right guy out there.
You absolutely
who did not come through when they needed him to come through.
You know this about me. Paulie, you know this about me. Our tier ones know this about me. Super easy to manage with my hand down my pants, sitting at home, eating Cheez-Its, right? Massively easy. Massively easy. Also, after watching the play and watching what happens, going, oh, well, I would have done something. I hate that. I hate it. I chide our audience for doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it now. I'm a massive hypocrite because, again, 6 pitches. Steven Wilson, Ben, I would have, you know what I would have done, honestly? I would have gone Nick Martinez before. I would have gone Nick Martinez in the 6th. If he's a guy that can give me multiples, Martinez for the 6th, Martinez for the 7th, Wilson for the 8th, Hader for the 9th. That's it. Nick, there's no rule that says Nick Martinez has to be my 8th inning guy. And actually yesterday, I showed you guys some numbers about the high leverage guys and how they're performing or underperforming in high leverage. Nick Martinez in high leverage situations kind of been at his worst. And I'm talking 8th inning. He's kind of been when he hasn't been great.
I'll agree with you that I feel like Steven Wilson may have earned the opportunity now to be the 8th and more higher leverage guy. And like what I've seen from him, his ERA is 2.5. It's the lowest now of that group outside of Josh Hader at the end of the game. And then what about if you're going to criticize decisions? I think how the Padres played the bottom of the 9th inning, bringing Martinez back. I get it. You know you're going to have to go to extra innings, so you're trying to get a second inning out of Martinez, and then he puts runners on, and you feel like, well, now Hader's our best chance to at least get to the 10th inning. Do you just let Hader go out there with a clean inning?
Yeah, if you're going to use him.
I mean, anything can happen. Josh Hader can go 1, 2, 3 and 7 pitches, and you think, okay, we can bring him back for the 10th. Or Josh Hader can, get out of it in 20 pitches, and you go, oh, I can't bring him back. But the Padres, could score 7 runs in the top of the 10th, and you don't need him in the bottom of the 10th. You put Josh Hader in a situation to fail in that game.
You did, and here's the other thing. So Hader's down today, I would imagine. Yeah, can't really use Josh
16
Hader today.
pitches, I would think you can come back.
Maybe. Timmy Hill's got to be down today. Steven Wilson should be nice and fresh. Here's the problem. You got a bullpen where to bridge the gap, you're going to have to go to Garcia, Carlton, Kerr, or Honeywell. Honeywell hasn't pitched since Friday. What does that tell you about what they think about Brent Honeywell right now? I mean, they're really the only way to win ball games with this team. You just have to, like the great John Smoltz says, this team was built to score more than its opponent. It's the only way you're going to do it, and by a lot.
All right, we got more to talk about on this one. I'll guess on Ben Woods appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. We'll tell you about our guests coming up, and we'll play some Take on Woods all ahead next year on 97.3 The Fan. Feel like it might be a spicy visit from Adam Jones today. He's coming up at the bottom of the hour, 7:35. Guest rundown here on Ben and Woods. And then looking forward to 9:35. Grant Brisbee is going to be with us. He covers the Giants for The Athletic, has always been
he's so good.
Very clever.
He's so good,
really
man.
good. You know, he did his own thing. What was his was he the McCovey Chronicle? What did he start with before he was with The Athletic? But he's always been a really good follow on social media.
Good baseball writer.
Yeah. He's funny as hell.
Yeah.
He loves music. He's very, very talented. And he's probably going to be a little smug today, as he should be. His team's playing quite well, while ours is just, circling the drain at this point, man. And somebody made a great point. Matthew in the chat, Matthew Stone says, imagine in April if someone told you by July we'd be 10 games. We're not quite to July yet. We're getting close. We'd be 10 games behind the Arizona Diamondbacks and in 4th place in the division. I would have said, you're on PCP. You're getting wet, my friend. There's no explanation for this. But there is. We've talked about the explanations ad nauseum every day. But yeah, I'm blown away. I'm continuously blown away. And I had that sinking feeling last night too, knowing how poorly we've played in close games and one-run games, Ben. I texted you something, and I think you misinterpreted what I was saying. I said, man, the wheels just fall off. And what I didn't necessarily mean was like a bullpen implosion, walking guys, spiking balls into the dirt. There's this sense of panic that has seemingly been setting in, and this has really happened all year, and it's evidenced by our record in close games. Something happens in that 9th inning. Guys are super tight. You get a pitch clock violation. Weird things are happening. There is no calm air of, hey, we're a better team. This is a team with the tightest beeholes I've ever seen, man. Teams like Cincinnati ripping off 10 wins in a row. They're playing loose. They're having fun. Nobody's having fun on this team, man. Nobody.
It's why this game is so stupid.
It makes
Prior
no
to the
sense.
season, with this roster, with the bullpen, with everything on paper, you're like, 1-run lead in the 9th, we got this. 2-run lead, game over. 3-run lead, come on. We can do that with our eyes closed.
Last season,
even earlier in this season when they were struggling, you still felt like just get a lead, get it to Hader, like we're fine. Now it feels like, dude, a 3-run lead, you're like, this is anybody's ball game.
Yeah,
100%.
And last season, you felt like the Padres were behind. They're going to find a way to walk this
Oh,
off.
100%.
They're going to come up and get the win at the end. They just had that confidence, and as a fan, you had confidence in the team. None of that exists right now. And you're right. I think you're absolutely right, Woods. The team needs to they need to start playing looser.
Yeah.
And it's almost the opposite of it's so hard to do that. The more you lose, the less loose you feel.
Oh God, it's just tight. And you get the stress amps. So no matter what you do for a living, no matter what your job is, man, honestly, you guys listening in your cars or watching on YouTube, we all know that feeling. In our case, you get one bad ratings book and you go, oh God, let's blow it up. Let's eliminate this. We need to do this better. And you panic. You just do. It's a human condition. When things are going poorly, you squeeze the bat a little tighter. You grip that slider a little bit tighter. The heart rate goes up. It was funny. I was laying in bed the other night watching the game, and I was looking at my beats per minute on my Fitbit, and I'm laying in bed at like 100 beats a minute. I can't imagine what it's like. Then again, these cats are paid very handsomely, Ben, to not be mediocre. Very handsomely. Massively, more handsomely than any of us and anybody listening could ever wrap their heads around. Look in the mirror, figure out who you are. There is time to turn it around, but you've got 17 games to play until the All-Star break, Ben. You are 3 games below 500. You haven't, that watermark of 500 seems like a dream at this point. You got to win the next 2 against the Giants, somehow beat the Nationals. Really, does anybody in their heart of hearts think they're going to? I think they can, but do I think they're going to?
See, now here's the catch-22 of the whole situation. These next 2 games, I feel are pretty critical.
They're massive.
These
last 2 games.
I
were
know
massive.
there's 89 games left. There's a lot of season left, but if you lose these next 2 and you fall 8 games behind the Giants and 12 games behind the Diamondbacks and 7 games behind the Dodgers, whatever it is, you can't count on these teams to lose and come back to the pack anymore. If you fall that far behind, you could play pretty good baseball the rest of the way, and it still might not be enough. You'd never want to put yourself in a position where you can play good baseball and it's not enough because you don't really control what the other teams do. So in my mind, these next 2 games, I mean, taking 2, pretty important. Splitting, absolutely essential at the worst. You lose the next 2. The Padres will all of a sudden, I would say probably drop to maybe a 25% chance to make the playoffs if they lose the next 2 games. These are critical games. How do you get loose though when you know you're basically
in playoff scenario,
and almost feeling like you're in a must-win game in the month of June in a baseball season? It's the catch-22. You need to play looser while the stakes are going up and up and up with every loss, and you need to start relaxing a little bit more. It's almost impossible to do.
Yeah, in when we say it, it is. People do it, and teams have done it, and they've said, all right, listen, let's flush it all. Let's get it together. Let's go out and have a few beers or whatever you need to do to lighten the mood and have some fun again. But, Matthew says in the chat too, losing's not fun. Why would they be having fun? I get it. I totally get it. I don't have a reason for you. I do know this. When you look at our lineup as it's constructed, as it was constructed last night, Fernando Tatis has been fantastic. And he is the catalyst of this team. Really seemingly the only guy. I know Soto hit a couple bombs, the night before, so he's got some pop. It was nice to see. He had a nice oppo shot last night too, a knock. He's the only guy really that you fear is going to do any damage when he's at the plate. Having Manny in the 3 and Xander in the 4, or vice versa, whatever. Neither of those guys are hitting the ball out of the yard at all, and neither of them are really hitting it with much authority at this point. So I don't know what you do if you're Bob Melvin. I might try to slide Tatis down a little bit, and it's awesome to see him lead off a game, and he is a total Mustang when he's running the bases, and he creates a lot of havoc. But if he gets stranded out there, it doesn't really do you any good. So if he's a guy, and you can count on him, I think, to be a run producer, I think I'd probably move him down the lineup a little bit.
It's tough when you have back-to-back guys at 3 and 4 who are really not providing any slug. Manny's run into a few.
Yeah.
Xander has not hit a home run
since May 23rd.
And before that, it was Mexico City.
Yeah.
Before that, he has provided so little slugging percentage. And it's not as though he didn't do it in Boston. It's not, oh, well, that's what you get with Xander Bogaerts.
Right,
no, that's not what you've gotten with Xander Bogaerts. The Padres, unfortunately, right now are seeing a Xander Bogaerts that never really existed with the Boston Red Sox. And whether it's the wrist or whether it's something else, just about, the difficulty of changing organizations. We talked a little bit about that yesterday. So far, the Xander Bogaerts signing has worked out very poorly for the Padres. He has not been what they needed him to be, what they hoped him to be, even close to what they need him to be for this team to be good. It's a lot closer to the Eric Hosmer signing right now than anything else the Padres have done, except more expensive and a lot longer. Now, we're 3 months in. He could have a great 10 years after this, and we'll talk about Xander Bogaerts when he goes into the Padres Hall of Fame and they retire his number as one of the greats who has ever put on a Padres uniform. But so far, he's off to a wretched start. Outside of those 3 weeks, it's been putrid, really, what you've gotten from Xander Bogaerts. And he's sitting right there at number 4 in your lineup most days.
And has had, watched him in Boston for many years. One of the more clutch players, I think, out there. A guy you could definitely count on. Him and Manny pretty much almost leading baseball and grounded into double plays. Xander's swinging one-handed right now. I mean, he is. He's swinging one-handed, kind of flicking the ball. It's just not working. It's not working. So I don't know what the solution is.
Well, and the lack of depth then shows its teeth right there. By the way, we need someone for Take on Woods, so quickly call in 833-288-0973. If Xander was struggling, but Nelson Cruz and Matt Carpenter were, delivering at the bottom of the lineup, if Austin Nola was just hitting 250 and the Padres had some depth, maybe they had 1 or 2 guys in the minor leagues that they could bring up that could even just be an average player for a while, you could give Xander some time off. They don't have any depth. No. Every single guy who struggles just adds to the black hole later in the lineup that's hurting them. So this all plays together. whether or not Manny or Xander are playing at less than 100%, you don't have other options to bring up. So you have to keep throwing them out there at less than 100% because you don't have anything else to go to. It's
I mean, look, Crony's not off the hook either. Love Crow, but man, it's just having those guys 3, 4, and 5. What do you do though? I mean,
it's not like you want to have Grisham, Nola, and Kim 3, 4, 5,
Right.
and that's going to
anything.
save all your, that's going to solve all your problems.
Do they just suck?
They can't do anything this year. They can't
Padres
do anything next year. They can't do anything the year after that. I
Padres
mean,
just not good.
you just have to you're a ride or die with this 90% of this team or
Yeah.
whatever.
Manny would say,
6 out of the
back of the
9.
baseball card should win out, but right now it's not. Padres are not. A lot of them are not playing to the back of their baseball card.
Oh no, not even close. Not even close.
All right, we've got a lot to get to. We'll take some phone calls coming up. Right now, though, let's play our game. It is time for Take on Woods. All right, let's give Joe a shot today. Joe, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Hopefully my phone's working a little better today.
Yeah, you do sound a lot better today. So you have a chance to qualify for a trip to Las Vegas here. You can beat or tie Woods. 2 nights at Resorts World Las Vegas. 2 tickets to Luke Bryan. He is headlining at the Resorts World Theater from August 30th to September 9th. Tickets and VIP packages are on sale now at Axxess.com. That's AXS.com and RWLasVegas.com. Here are your categories, Joe. The periodic table. We told you about it yesterday. Touchy-feely. And we bring back a mystery category. So those are your 3 choices. The periodic table, touchy-feely, or the mystery category. Which one of those sounds lucky to you?
Go touchy-feely.
Touchy-feely. Okay, so 3. So we got 5 song titles that all include either the word touch or feel in the title. Those can be tricky for Woods because he thinks he gets it and then it changes up on him because he doesn't know the category when he comes back into the studio. You'll have 60 seconds. Get as many of the 5 as you can. Then Woods comes back and gets the same 5 questions. Start with our 2-second song. Paulie will play a bit of a clip of a well-known hit. You need to give me the title and the artist to score that one. Joe, I know you know how to play. You ready to go?
Yeah, let's
All
do
right,
it.
Paulie, put those 60 seconds on the clock. Your time will begin when Paul plays our music. Category is touchy-feely. Time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck. Joe, let's take on Woods.
Pass.
Which 1984 song by Hall & Oates was their final #1 hit and includes the line, "But I'm out of my head when you're not around"?
Out of touch.
Correct. The band formed nearly 20 years ago, but Portugal the Man didn't have their first top 100 song until which 2017 breakthrough smash?
Pass.
Phil Collins sings I'm falling for her" in which 1986 Genesis hit?
Invisible touch.
Correct. Before Don't Stop Believin', Journey's first hit after adding Steve Perry was which song with a title that drops the G after all 3 words?
Loving, touching, squeezing.
Correct. Back to our 2-second song.
Pass.
The band formed nearly 20 years ago, but Portugal the Man didn't have their first top 100 song until which 2017? Ooh, time is up. You did get 3 of them. Out of Touch, Invisible Touch, and Love and Touch. You got all the touch songs. You didn't get the 2 feel
feels.
songs. That's a tough 2-second song because the beginning doesn't sound like the rest of the song.
Right.
That's Feel Like Making Love by Bad Company. And Portugal the Man's big hit was
Woods will
called
get the same clip.
Feel It Still. Yeah, he's going to get the same amount. So that's a 3 score. Joe, hang on the line. We'll see if that's good enough to hold up. And again, it's a tough one for Woods. Here it comes. Okay. Joe's score is locked in. Woodsy putting his headphones on. Paulie resetting our 2-second song. Put 60 seconds back on the clock. Woods, your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck. Let's take on Joe.
Feel Like Making Love, Bad Company.
Correct. Which 1984 song by Hall & Oates was their final #1 hit and includes the line, "But I'm out of my head when you're not around"?
Pass.
Band formed nearly 20 years ago, but Portugal the Man didn't have their first top 100 song until which 2017 breakthrough smash?
Crap. Played it 1,000 times. Can't remember the name. Pass.
Phil Collins sings I'm Falling for Her, in which 1986 Genesis hit?
Crap, dude. Austin Nola right now. Pass.
Before Don't Stop Believin', Journey's first hit after adding Steve Perry was which song with a title that drops the G after all three words?
Drops the G. What the? Pass.
Which 1984 song by Hall & Oates was their final #1 hit, includes the line, but I'm out of my head when you're not around?
I don't know. I don't know the category. Rich Girl.
Incorrect. The band formed nearly 20 years ago, but Portugal the Man didn't have their first top 100 song. Wow, that's 2 losses in a row as Joe takes it 3-1.
What was the category?
So the category was called Touchy Feely.
Okay.
And all the song titles included either the word feel like making love, which was impressive.
Yeah.
Joe didn't get that one, or touch.
Okay.
But I'm out of my head when you're not around. I'm out of touch.
I'm out of touch.
Feel It Still is Portugal the Man. Yeah. And I was surprised you didn't get Phil Collins. I'm falling for her. She seems to have an
visible
touch. And then Don't Stop Believing. Our Journey before that was Lovin', Touchin', Squeezin'. That drops the G after all of them.
I hate everybody.
Wow. All right, Joe. Congratulations. Hang on the line in the break.
Pathetic.
Paulie will get your
performance
information
of all
and
time.
your Daily Ditty selection for tomorrow as you win that choice as well and go into the hopper
I'm pressing right
for
now.
our grand prize drawing. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm pressing.
You lose one,
Lost,
all of a sudden
there it comes.
the pressure mounts, and then you feel it still.
Snowball. It's snowballing on me. I'm gripping the bat a little tighter, and I don't even know how good I would have done with the category.
I thought you were going to crush it when you got the 2-second song.
Yeah,
Like,
that was a
instantly.
tough one because it doesn't sound like the rest of the song in the
Love that
beginning,
song.
but you
Well,
got that one easily.
My 8th grade band, Gypsy Rose, we used to
Oh.
cover "Feel Like Making Love." So there you go.
No wonder. All right,
Fisher's in here.
We've got Don't Do This coming up next. I have a wild story about a bowling coach.
Okay, I'm definitely down for that. I've got Bob Huggins' daughter coming to his defense with, wow, what a we must have. We, the media, really s the bet on this one.
You read that for me this morning.
It's
I was
amazing.
Speechless.
Good little interlude from our Padres talk. Should enjoy this coming up next after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
Don't do this.
It's time for Don't Do This.
What were you thinking?
3 stories from the world of sports that make us all shake our heads.
Why? How many times do I have to tell you?
I'm sorry, I fudged up, guys.
You idiot. You moron.
Dumbass.
The apple sometimes does fall from the tree.
Don't Do This
Do not tweet that.
with Ben and Woods
I like a Nickelback song or two.
on 97.3 The Fan.
Let's get right to it. We got Adam Jones coming up at the bottom of the hour. I know he'll have some thoughts on the Padres' struggles right now. I think, Woodsy, I bet you haven't seen this story. I think you're going to enjoy my first Don't Do This entry. First of all, it starts with an amazing headline from the Lufkin Daily News.
Lufkin is in Texas.
Nacogdoches.
Yep.
At Stephen F. Austin State University. Here's the headline. Spare relationship causes awkward split. SFA assistant bowling coach out after affair with athlete.
Oh.
So Steve Lemke is the assistant bowling coach.
Okay. Didn't know
That's Stephen
you
F.
need
Austin.
an assistant.
Apparently. Well, Lemke happens to be married to the head bowling coach, Amber Lemke. They're a husband-wife duo. However, Steve got caught having a relationship with one of the players, one of the female bowlers on the team.
Okay.
Inappropriate, coach-athlete relationship, and was let go from his job. And of course, I'm sure this is not doing wonders for his marriage either. But here's where it kind of goes off the rails. So Lemke gave an interview to this Lufkin Daily News paper to kind of defend his actions, apparently. Here's his quote. I knew it was kind of a no-no, but there's not a rule saying it can't happen, Steve Lemke said.
Oh my God.
There's not a law saying I'm going to go to jail for doing something like this. There's nothing in stone. I guess it's just an ethics code. Like, we frown upon it, but there's no rule. There's no law broken. This is about having an affair with one of his players.
Is he mad he lost his job or his wife?
Well, now he goes on. Why did he decide to do it when he's married to the coach? Quote, I was the stay-at-home dad for 5 years with the kids while Amber got to go off and coach the team. And when she'd get back, I'd run practices on top of taking care of the kids while she was back. When they travel again, I would sit back and take care of the kids. Then when I got hired on, she almost forced me to run practices. I was a volunteer the entire time before that, trying to help out Amber. Once I got hired on, one thing stemmed from another. I felt like I was doing too much for what I was being valued at.
Oh, my.
So he decided to take his extra compensation in the form of an extramarital affair with one of his bowlers.
He really feels justified. It's like strongly justified. It's like, you guys don't even know. I was already running the. She used me to run those practices for years.
There's not a law against it. There's nothing in stone. I guess it's just
it's frowned upon.
Ethics code. It's frowned upon.
I thought it was just frowned upon. Oh my Lord. Well, yeah, she got to go travel the country in the
Glamorous bowling alley.
The luxuries that the bowling team provides.
All those great places that I'm sure Stephen F. Austin travels to on their bowling road trips.
Incredible. All right, guys. Next trip. Remember, we have a budget of $79, so try to keep it under that for the whole squad. Holy smokes.
I wonder what the NIL kind of money is
I
for a
thought bowling
bowler.
was like a club sport. I didn't know you had
I don't know.
An official school sport?
School sport.
Again, I love the headline. Spare relationship causes awkward split.
It's amazing. Can you guys spin it at the bowling alley? Or do you go? Are you guys both straight on?
I go all the way to the
tried.
right and then just straight, like sort of coming in from the side because
I
I'm
haven't
throwing
thrown
from
a
the right.
bowling ball in God knows how long.
We did it at a remote a few years ago. We had opening day somewhere, and I
It
couldn't
was
even
a playoff. It was
playoff
last.
game.
It was last October. Punch Bowl.
Punch Bowl downtown.
I could not lift my arm the next day after bowling like 3 frames. I digress. Bob Huggins, as you know, has had a rough few months. We've talked about it on Don't Do This and thought it was kind of over. And he got a DUI. He was in Pittsburgh, but he thought he was in Columbus. It was blood alcohol of 0.210. And his daughter went to social media and, said, hey, this is wrong. and you guys don't really know what's going on. And my dad is not this person. So she says this quote, not that I need to touch any more on what happened, but I'm going to, because people above don't deserve the right to hide how it really happened and the kind of people they actually are. My dad is not an alcoholic. He drinks like 90% of us, made a mistake that cost him his job, reputation, and livelihood, which he didn't deserve. He told Gordon and his board he would go to rehab for a 60-day stint to be able to stay for these guys. The guys who don't want to play for anyone else. That's how much he cares. Refused, not even considered, 100% no without a thought. But they want to preach this society of understanding and compassion. She says, next, the beer cans all over the car. The cans were in bags and not all beer cans, not all beer. There's a small group in Morgantown who knows my dad collects cans to recycle. Always has, always will. That's his thing.
Oh my God.
To act like he was driving around pounding beers as the media wants to portray is absolutely absurd. So it wasn't the media. It was actually the police department that did the blood alcohol test on him. The media didn't pull him over and go, is that other beer cans? You're going to jail, my friend. No, it's
all right. He was, what did he, 0.21?
0.210.
So she acknowledged that he's a regular drinker, like
Correct.
many people. She is right.
I think it's his second or his third.
He's a big guy, too.
Big dude.
To get to 0.21, it's not like he had, a beer and a half. He
The
must have
recycling defense is one I have not. You guys, he picks
recycling those cans.
He picks these up and he turns them in.
Because
he cares about the environment.
Most college basketball coaches in West Virginia who are making millions of dollars are so environmentally conscious.
Hey, he might be.
And need the extra 5 cents per
But
can as well on the recycling
He
fee.
very well may be, but this has nothing to do with the media. This has nothing to. It has to do with the letter of the law.
I'd be shocked if Bob Huggins was a closet environmentalist.
He drank, he drove,
be shocked,
and he got fired.
Cole, the college basketball coach who likes to use homophobic slurs
Right.
in coal country is a
On his
closet
third DUI.
is a closet environmentalist.
It's unbelievable. That's one where it's like,
All
hey,
right.
you didn't need to defend my honor.
We're out of time.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's fine.
That's it.
There's nothing
That
positive anyway.
was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
I'm going to hope Adam Jones provides the do this for us today. I don't know whether it's inspirational insight maybe from Adam after these last couple of losses for the San Diego Padres, but we will talk with AJ coming up next with his regular Wednesday visit on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This hour on The Fan is brought to you by South Norte Tequila Cocktails. Savor South Norte, Mexican-inspired premium tequila cocktails made with real tequila and real juice. Sip on a classic margarita, an authentic Paloma, or crack open a Matador or the Mexican Mule. Pick yours up at Stater Brothers, Ralph's, Costco, and more.
South Norte.
Sounds like something that our friend Adam Jones might enjoy a case of out there in Barcelona. We will get to AJ right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan. And out we go to our premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline to our globe-trotting all-star, Adam Jones, the San Diego native, back with us here on 97.3 The Fan. Adam, good morning to you. Happy Wednesday, wherever you are.
I am back. I'm still in Spain. I've been dormant for a little bit, but I can't wait to leave here this weekend and get back. Getting out to Greece to go eat some tzatziki and a lot of pita.
That's a tough life. It's a tough life. That sounds amazing, actually. That sounds being in Greece just sounds so much better. And this place is great. Don't get me wrong. Yesterday was one of the most beautiful days of the year. Fantastic. But it's not Greece. Greece sounds incredible.
It's not Greece.
No, AJ, were you, Ben, you were
I was not here last week.
So I gave Adam a bit of a homework assignment. And the timing of it is weird because it's going to sound like, oh, here goes Woods again, making excuses for our $30 million a year plus guys, of which there are a few on this team, AJ, for not hitting. But I wanted to talk about hitting because I'm fascinated with it. And I want to talk about your day hitting, and I want to talk about hitting now. And I gave you a little homework assignment. You kind of gave the answer at the end of the show, Ben, but I asked how different is it now when you watch? 2-0 back in Adam's day, it's fastball count. You're going to get a fastball and you can do something with it or miss it or whatever. When you're watching now, AJ, and you're watching guys throw, sliders and knuckle curves 2-0 and pitching backwards all the time. Is it much more prevalent these days than it used to be?
100%. I mean, it was a 1-0 count was a fastball, 2-0 count you got a fastball, 3-1 count you got a fastball, 3-2 it was a strong fastball count, but depending on who the pitch was. Nowadays it's just, I don't know. Everybody to me is a thumber. I don't care how hard you throw. Even the guys that are pumping 98, 99, they're all thumbers. Ohtani's a thumber. He's throwing 100. He throws so many sliders.
Yeah,
because it's just hard to hit. And when in the era now of max effort, where if a starter goes 5+ we're extremely happy. As he throws 110 pitches but goes 5+, and he's throwing 0.5% of off speed pitches, and that's just the game nowadays, is to keep the hitters off balance. There's no such thing as a hitter's count anymore. I think there's probably more fastballs 0-2 than 2-0 these days, and it's got to be frustrating, but you're in the position, you get paid to be in the batter's box and to be able to decipher what the hell is coming up to the plate. So it's definitely got tougher with guys doing way more off speed, but it's still the major leagues. Your job is to square it up. So, ultimately, you're there for a reason, and you just have to navigate yourself through it and figure it out.
Thumber is great baseball lingo.
Oh, so good.
Short for Cunny Thumber, actually, which is
Thumber,
a pitcher who throws primarily off-speed pitches. And even Shohei Ohtani now, the hardest throwers will still mix in so much breaking stuff into their at-bats.
They almost look surprised these days, Adam, when, because you see guys, Juan Soto, he's got a great eye, obviously. Jay Cronenworth's an interesting example because, when he gets hot, he can go oppo. When he's bailing and trying to pull everything, he kind of goes cold. But man, guys almost look surprised when they get a 2-0 fastball.
Oh, when Yu Darvish throws a fastball, he stuns people.
No, they're stunned.
He buckles knees with his fastball.
Yeah.
It's so surprising.
It's wild, man.
He stuns me watching it when he throws a fastball, because I'm thinking this pitch is going to be an off speed. This next pitch is going to be an off speed, and then he throws 96 with crazy two-seam movement. And you're like, damn, why don't you do that more often?
Yeah.
But if you do that more often, these hitters are really good and they'll turn it around. So even Darvish, big thumber.
Huge.
You know what I mean?
Huge
thumber. And that's just the way of the game now. Analytics is saying throw more off speed because these men can hit a heater. And, if you throw enough heaters that it looks good and then you throw the slider off of that, you see a lot more chasing outside the zone when it's like, that was a bad chase, opposed to a really good pitch that they swung at. And then there's some that's just like, well, damn, that was out the hand. And that happens. That happens to everybody. We swing. So when we're not seeing it good, sometimes we swing out the hand opposed to letting the ball travel. And it's the most frustrating thing for players. I've seen Cashman talking about it because the Yankees have been struggling. He's like, you guys think you're frustrated? What do you think? How do you think we feel? And it's a frustrating part of the game. And we're in it together. I think you guys are emotionally invested. So we're in this together.
It's our weekly conversation with Adam Jones here on Ben and Woods 97.3 The Fan. And this may be a sensitive subject, but you must have been teammates with a couple of guys who at some point, for whatever reason, they're just not getting the job done anymore. And at some point, the team makes a decision, but for a while, they're still sitting there in the clubhouse. Padres, right now, Austin Nola has had a god-awful season. We're talking about earlier. We like the guy. We feel bad for him. They're throwing him up there to bunt a couple of times a game now when he's starting. As a teammate, when you have someone like that, do you not say anything? Do you feel like you have to say something? Is it tough to even have a conversation with a guy who's struggling like that in the clubhouse?
Well, the thing is that, first off, as long as they're not detrimental to your team, I don't care if they're hitting 330 or hitting 130. As long as they're not detrimental and a cancer to your team, then I generally won't say nothing. You can push them. You can, try and be very positive with them. Obviously by getting Gary, that showed that, hey, we're not getting production from this position, so we're trying to get some production from this position. It's been frustrating too as a fan. He's a hell of a player, hell of a catcher, hell of a person. But at the end of the day, it's business, and between the lines, you want results and you want production. But it's hard to ever to say something about a man's livelihood. Like, oh, this guy shouldn't be here. This guy shouldn't be. He's got a wife and kids. You know what I mean? He's got a wife and kids.
100%.
So for a player to be like, or another player to be like, hey, this guy don't deserve to be here. Now, just say, like, look, if he's been struggling, maybe call somebody up or, send him down or things like that can work. You know what I mean? You can do that. But to be like, you see it all the time. This guy, just DFA him. So you're basically telling, just fire this guy. Like, he has a wife and kids. So what if your job, people are saying you didn't do your job well at Starbucks today, and we say, you deserve to be fired. That's not fair. So as a player, so I can never come that way, but I definitely can kick a player in the ass and say, hey, let's go. We need you. Not just me. We all need you. And try and be the positive light in a negative situation. I've done that many times because the game is hard. I've said it many times. And I'd be a fool to be like, oh, yeah, but come on. You suck right now. You're not playing like we all suck. Okay. It's very hard. But my way of doing it would be the positive way of, give him a kick in the pants and be like, hey, come on, baby, we need you because you're a big part of this team, as he is.
Well, you saw it the other night. If you're watching the game when Luis Garcia came in and he just looked, honestly, it looked like he looked like, I don't want to be out here right now. He looked a little bit deer in headlights, which a guy that throws, 98 and has, when it's on, an exploding slider and can be really nasty. We've seen it before. Yeah. You saw him struggle and walk the guy on 4 pitches. And then you saw Manny and the other guys come over and they were getting in his ear. Like, come on, let's go, Poppy. We need you. Let's go. Nothing. Mm-hmm. I mean, still it just got to be the loneliest feeling out there, knowing in your head, you can't control where it's going. And we always talk with you about the mental side of the game. What did you do in your career to get mentally strong or to stay mentally strong?
Well, I always tried to understand that, somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. It's a 50-50, no matter how you shake it. There's no 30% chance. It's 50-50. But you have to ride it out. You have to take the good with the bad. And again, you can get jammed in the 9th inning off the closer and win the game. You can hit a bullet, which everybody cheers for, and you lose the game. So you just gotta be a humble winner. You know what I mean? You gotta be and you also have to be a graceful loser. You have to understand both sides of that. And frustration is gonna creep in no matter what you do. That's just the human nature. But after the game is over with, you just have to be like, look, hey, I gave it my best. Maybe I could have did this. You always gonna second guess. You're gonna reanalyze the situation. Then you go home. Hey, the night's over. You got to do it again the next day. I learned that because the second day of spring training, getting traded to the Orioles, the manager said, "This is your job to lose." So my confidence level just shot through the roof. So I knew that if I was 0 for 4, I'm gonna play the next day. It wasn't if I'm 0 for 4. Oh, am I gonna be in the lineup? That tenseness. I remember going 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts early in the season in 2008. In Tampa, and Tremblay looked at me and said, "Well, what? You in the lineup the next day?" I went 3 for 4 the next day because it's the confidence installed in you. And with me, I knew I was going to be out there every day. So if I failed, I'm like, okay, I got you tomorrow. It was always that mentality. Opposed to there's a lot of guys, and I know when I very first got caught up with the Mariners, when if every at bat was like, I got to get a hit. If I don't get a hit, Hargrove is going to pinch hit me. He's going to sit me, and that is a terrible way to play. But in this current climate of analytics, when if you don't do something in 30 at-bats, it's deemed that you're not that good. So we're going to try the next guy and then try the next guy. It's really, really hard because you rarely see just, hey, go out there and play. Here's 500 at-bats. Let me see what you can do. Good, bad, indifference. You don't see that in the big leagues anymore, or with starters or relievers. I remember Matt Clement, when he first got called up, go run out there and go have 20, your 30 starts. See what happens. It doesn't happen that way anymore because analytics says, I'm going to give you a couple chances and then I got to go with the next guy if you don't succeed. They don't allow you to fail.
Well, it is interesting. We're talking to Adam Jones here on Ben and Woods this morning. It is interesting because we all like to put ourselves in those shoes. And Skipper comes to you and says, hey, this is your job to lose. I don't know. There's some guys that would go, oh God, oh crap. And then you start, then you want to impress and you want to, maybe you get the, in some of the guys' cases on our squad, maybe, you get that big contract and you want to go out and try to live up to it. There's a different kind of pressure involved by having to grind for a spot. And then there's a different kind of pressure involved when they say, hey, this is your spot. And then, Adam, there's nowhere to hide. I'm going to be in center field and I'm in the 2-hole or the 3-hole. I can't hide anymore. And I think different people react to pressure differently. And I think that's just so fascinating what you said.
No, pressures, everybody is going to react differently to it. Some people love it. A lot of people love it. Most people are terrified of it. That's why most people don't risk things in life. They're scared. They're terrified to fail. They're terrified of the pressure. They're terrified of what someone else is going to think. To hell with everyone else with all that. Do it. You know what I mean? Try it. Pressure is good. That means you're actually in a good situation. Somebody's counting on you. And I personally loved it. Again, some people aren't the biggest of it. That's where, Michael Jordan, he loves pressure. Absolutely loved it, as you've seen. There's other NBA players, there's other players in all the sports that don't like the big light. They don't like that. I want the guys on the team that want it. You know what I mean? I want the guy who is running to the bat rack, is next to the manager, like, hey, this is my chance. This is my chance. Not the guy at the other end of the dugout, afraid and don't want to be seen, like hiding because, hey, it's your turn, but you trying to hide. Like, nah. If you're going through it, the only way to get a hit is to swing the bat. It's the only way to get out of the slump. I always tell people, drop a bunt. When I had some wheels, if I was struggling a little bit, I always dropped a bunt. A base hit's a base hit in the big leagues. I don't care how hard you hit it. It's a knock in the books. Somebody's going to put in their scorebook, base hit, because he reached first with a solid black line. So any way you can do it, just try and, figure it out, because there's a lot of hits in the field. There's a lot of different things you can do to help a team win. And, I was just a person that if I'm not hitting, you ain't getting no hit. If I'm going to try to get that bag, I'm going to try to throw the guy out. I'm going to try to do any other of the all intangibles of the baseball game to try and win and help my team if I'm not swinging the bat well.
Last one here, Adam, and not from an individual perspective or statistics, but a team perspective. What was the most disappointing season of your career? Like a team that had expectations that didn't live up to them. And in hindsight, why did it happen? Because we're kind of living through it at the moment right now here.
You know what? I've never been asked that question, but I would have to go with 2015 season. The reason being is we came off winning the division. The Royals handed us a binky and some diapers in the playoffs that year and whooped us. But 15, we didn't sign Markakis and we didn't bring back Cruz. We could have signed one of them. Cruz got 4 years, 52. Markakis got 444. Our doctors in Baltimore said that both of those guys would be bad in year 3 or 4. Markakis went to the All-Star game in his 4th year. Cruz was 40 and 100 every year.
Jeez.
The doctor needs to be tripped. That year was mentally tough because I played 7 straight years with Markakis. There's my Gold Glove mate, my teammate, my friend, and McLeod on the side of me. Now I got Schneider and Trumbo and Mancini. It's just all brand new. And I'm playing with, guys that aren't outfielders. They're first basemen and DHs. It is what it is. And it was just frustrating because, it was upon my shoulders now to be the great center fielder. And I'm like, well, I mean, I was good because Markakis caught that ball. I was good because McLeod. I'm not good because I can run to right field and catch the ball. No, I was only good because of what I can cover. So now I'm covering more. And then my defensive metrics started to go down. People say, oh, you're not as good as center fielder. I was like, you come out here and play with these guys. No offense to them. They tried their asses off. But it's just they weren't Markakis, Diaz, and McLeod, Gold Glovers. And it was just a challenging year coming off that. And I'm a year older at that time. So no matter what you say, you're getting slower. And that was a trying year because I had my two guys were gone. Again, we still had Manny, we had Machado, Wieters, we had JJ, and we still had a very good core, but Markakis, who was the foundation when I got there, was gone. And it was just really weird.
Yeah, it's not the Padres' problem this year. They signed everybody.
No.
That's
We got
definitely
everybody.
not
They signed
it.
everybody.
They have the opposite doctor, though, when they're, hey, Bogarts, any concern about his wrist in 11 years? He's fine.
good to
Just
go.
go right ahead. Sign him for a decade, man. No, he's good. Sign him for 11 years. He's good to go. Enjoy Greece. Adam, we'll talk to you next Wednesday. Thank you so much.
All right, always, baby.
Adam Jones on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Yeah, those signings would have been fine for the Orioles back then.
Oh, phenomenal! Yeah, I
But
loved
sometimes
watching
it is
Markakis. Oh.
sometimes it is good when the doctors step in and go, I don't know if that's a great idea. Sign that guy to a long-term deal. All right, we'll come back. We'll reset the show. I got a very odd text yesterday.
This is unbelievable.
That I'm ready to share. Coming up next on 97.3 The Fan.
Welcome back. Halfway home on a Wednesday, exactly halfway through the week for us here on Ben and Woods. Mercifully. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl. It's our executive producer. Morning, Paulie.
Good morning.
Fresh off Blink 182
What a night.
last night. Good for you.
I learned that.
Let me intro you.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Hi.
We've literally nothing but time here.
It's a good point.
To my left is your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, Ben Higgins. Now you learned what?
Thank you, everybody. I learned that Blink 182 was originally just Blink, but there was an Irish band that was also called Blink that they didn't know about. And when they started getting popular, the Irish band said,
"Oh no,
change your name or we're going to sue you. We're going to change it for you." Is basically what they said.
How'd you learn that?
Take on Woods research.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I learned a lot.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they just picked a random number and added it to Blink and became Blink 182.
There was a movie when we were kids, Turk 182.
Was there?
Remember that?
Maybe that was part of the inspiration.
Maybe that could have been it too. I have no idea where the origin is. But Paulie went last night, said they absolutely slayed. Got to sleep about midnight, but is fresh and ready to go. And you look great, man. You look great. You've been dialed in. There's no been, hasn't. There's one thing I thought about. I told Paulie yesterday when I talked to him, because he was sweating it a little bit. He's like, "Oh man, I'm gonna get home." You start to do the morning show head, where you're like, "If I get home and it's just a
concert's gonna end at
it's gonna end
11:30.
if I get it," and you really plan it out, and then you dome yourself out, and you don't let yourself have a good time. And I told Paulie, and I believe this, and I heard some other people talking about this as well. After the pandemic, I'm like, you know what, bro? If we have a bad show tomorrow and you hit a bunch of wrong buttons or whatever, I don't care. I don't care. It's life's too short. Life's too short. And yeah, we get upset about the Padres.
Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, GEGE 000-466.
Stroganoff.
And we can actually have fun with it on this program. So, hey man, everybody out there, we all need to take a
This
big.
is like the time Bo ran the board for us on a segment.
Everybody take a. All right, now I'm getting pissed. Everyone take a big deep breath. Enjoy. Life's so short, right? Go to the concert, drink the beer, whatever. Yeah, have fun. And yeah, sometimes you pay the consequences a little bit, but
I'm good.
Totally worth it, right? Completely worth it.
A little coffee.
Yeah, a little coffee.
Adderall.
I think it would be a fun bit,
Prescribed.
maybe in the off season, to do 1 week where Woods has to maintain my schedule.
There's no way.
For 1 week.
Well,
and
then-
see him deteriorate from Monday to Friday into just like a quivering mess over there. Plus, you can only consume what I consume.
Oh, so no
like
help.
one coffee, no Adderall, nothing like that. And just 1 week just to see what happens to Woods.
I mean,
go to bed at like 12:45 in the morning, get up at 4:45 like I do.
I deal with
for 5 days in a row.
I deal with 2 toddlers.
I know you do.
Which is like
it's an extra. It's definitely something that I don't have to deal with.
I'd
anymore.
rather be sucking down Kung Pao chicken and sleeping at my desk sometimes than dealing with those two, because you just don't know what you're in for. But that schedule sucks, Benny. Your schedule's the worst. And
I feel really good right now.
No, you look
I really
great.
do. I
look
think
great.
the diet's working well.
All right, here's what we'll do.
Yeah.
I'll do your job, but you have to
take
the
care of your
kids.
kids. That's probably fair, actually.
Good luck.
Tough. I think you might win that trade-off.
Ben. Why is he doing that? Who is that? Is that Manny? Last
Your
night.
kids will probably call me Paul.
Yeah, they would.
Paul.
Last night, Bo's like, his new bit is asking questions that he already knows the answer to, right? And he does it, and I go, "You already know the answer. Why?"
Everyone
he just
likes to
he laughs.
confirmation.
Yeah, he laughs. So, yeah, they're tough, but definitely worth it.
So 182 would actually be an improvement on the Padres' average with close and late situation hitting, where they're hitting 173 this season. It's even worse than their runners in scoring position average. Just saw that stat this morning in the UT. Padres are batting 173 in close and late situations. That's anytime in the 7th inning or later when you are tied or down by 1 run or up by 1 run. So anytime it's a close game late in the last 3 innings, the Padres offense disappears completely, as it did again last night. They did not score in the 6th, 7th, 8th, or 9th. The night before, they didn't score 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th innings.
Yeah.
The night before. They get worse as the game goes on. The offensive struggles compound on themselves. And we're continuing to, everyone's looking for the solution, the cause, a possible solution. And I actually got a text yesterday with what at least a potential cause for what's going on with the Padres out of the blue. I got this text yesterday.
Now, question quickly, because the way you presented it to me, you didn't even send this to the Paul.
No,
thread.
Paul hasn't heard this one yet.
So
no idea what's
he has no idea
Yeah.
what's he's talking about. Did you think I gave your number to someone?
No, I just let me give you the I'll give you the text first. It says Padres hitting slump. Could the hitting philosophy be the reason for the Padres' poor offensive performance? Everyone knows that a complex motor skill involves automatic reflex muscle activation that's practiced until they become like reflexes. Thinking or modifying these reflexes often causes poor performance. Go to a Little League game and watch what happens when dad tries to coach his son who's trying hard to hit a baseball. Everything falls apart. Padres are trying to go deep into the count when hitting. That means delaying the decision of whether to hit or not. A 90-mile-per-hour baseball reaches the plate in less than half a second. Takes almost half that time to get the bat to the hitting zone. Is it any wonder that any delay in activating the decision to hit could be disastrous? The computer has run afoul of the human machine. I texted back,
"Who are you?"
Your name doesn't come up in my phone. Who is this?
You sent that text
And then
the guy's like, I figured it out.
He responded, "My name is Guy." Okay. I still don't know you. How did you get? I didn't text back. I wasn't sure. I didn't text back. How did you get this number? I don't know. I was very confused, but he says maybe you guys can get someone on that knows about this stuff to discuss it because it might take things in a more constructive direction. But how are you texting me and how did you get my number? I still don't know exactly who you are.
Wait, didn't he put his initials at first?
GPC, and I was racking my brain for like 30 minutes. Like I went through all my contacts. Like he's not in my contacts. So who do I know? Is Greg? Is there a Gary? Is this? I'm going through my brain. Like who could this possibly be?
Who is this brilliant?
And then I text to Woods. I go, maybe Woods knows who it is. The initials will like ring a bell, and he'll say, "Oh yeah, you just did. You must not have written down his number, but that's so and so. You know, so and so. We've talked to him before." Woods goes, I got no idea who this is.
Idea what you're talking about.
But this was just out of the blue. I mean, this wasn't like right after the show. I was at my workout like at 12:30 or something, and just out of the blue, I get this text. Oh, well,
Padres hitting woe.
I mean, I think a lot of teams have had success working deep into counts and drawing walks. Dodgers seem to do it and not have a problem the way the Padres do. So I don't think necessarily that's the problem for the Padres. And maybe because, they're constantly turning over their roster, that it's taking guys a little longer to adjust. But I mean, even before computer metrics, it was never a bad idea to work the count and wait for a pitch that you like to hit, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that essentially what your hitting philosophy is when you're, taking a lot of pitches? You're waiting for your pitch to hit and you're working the count and you're tiring out the opposing pitcher. You're drawing some walks along the way to get some base runners who might come around and score. It's not a computer metrics thing. That's always been a good strategy in baseball. It's not rocket science.
Yeah, you hunt for your pitch and don't miss it.
Waiting, swinging at bad pitches that you don't hit well was never a good strategy.
Honestly, after throwing BP to my wife yesterday, I think she could do some. She did not swing at one bad pitch, not one. If it was down and in, she spit on it. If it was up, she let it go.
How do you respond though when you get a text from someone you don't have their number, but they clearly know who you are?
It happens to me all the.
Does that happen to you too?
All the time. And I'm so embarrassed to write
and
back.
If
I don't
met
know
you,
who this
Guy,
is.
and I forgot, I apologize. That's why I was kind of hesitant to write back to begin with. Like maybe I'm supposed to know Guy, and I've forgotten, and that does happen sometimes. But I just get embarrassed. Like
new phone, who dis? Hey, oh man, so sorry, I got a new phone. Like
I
lost a lot of
haven't had a
contacts.
new phone in like decades, though.
Yeah, he has the original iPhone. It's the iPhone 1. They didn't even know they'd be making a 2, so they just called it the iPhone. So somebody said Ben is drunkenly handing out his number downtown. Yeah, hey, what are your ideas?
Hey, has some Padres.
Text you want my
You want
number?
my number? It happens to me all the time. I get the rando and I just panic. And I'm like, and I hate to do that, Paulie. What is the right way to answer? because I always do the haha, no kidding. I
Yeah.
respond like I know exactly who I'm
Right.
talking to.
You try to play
Play
you
it
try to
off.
do the process of elimination. Be like, okay,
Yeah.
what are we talking
Yeah.
about? Where's this
Context-
area code?
context.
Context.
You know, maybe if it's a different area code that's not in 619-760-858, maybe you could.
That's getting tougher now because people now carry their phones
I know,
wherever they are.
if
But
you
yeah,
know somebody that
Yeah.
lives here, but they're from Michigan, and you know that they're from Michigan, and you type it in, and it's a Michigan area code. That's probably this person.
Guy, if you're listening, call in 833-288-0973. We'd love to get to know
or
you.
just text me and
love
I'll call
to,
you back.
Love to get you. Love to get to know you more. PCL Loon God puts in the chat. Someone from work texted me weeks ago. We've had conversations
Yeah.
since
Oh, now it's too awkward.
about work stuff, and I still weeks later have no idea who it is. Yeah, you dig yourself into a hole.
We have at Channel 10, there's like work cell phones, but people leave and then give them to someone else. So I put the number in as someone, and then I get a text and it's not that person anymore because they've left and I don't know who it is again. And it's so awkward every single time when you don't know who is texting you.
Oh, it's so good, man. It is so.
I think it should be a rule. If you haven't texted
Good.
someone, let's say in more than 6 months, you just say, hey, this is so-and-so. I always do that. If I text someone out of the blue, even if I think they probably have my number, it's been a long time, I will put, hey, it's Ben Higgins from The Fan or whatever. Hey, it's Ben Higgins. And then I will text. And it may come up on their phone, Ben Higgins. And it's like, yeah, I know, Ben, who you are. You don't need to text that. But I would rather do that than put someone in a situation where you send a text and they've got no idea who it's from. And you spin me out like for an hour. I'm trying to figure out who could this possibly be and texting Woods for ideas. And it turns out I don't think I'm supposed to know this person at all.
It sounds very smart.
I've Googled phone numbers before.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Does that ever work?
Sometimes. There's like the white pages or whatever. There's different directories online, and a lot of them it's like, hey, here's the report, pay $1 or
It's
whatever.
$1 to
But
find it.
sometimes you can just see it in the description. You're like, you'll get a last name. Maybe it's they're still on their parents' phone plan, and you'll see like their dad's name or something like that. And you're like, okay, got the last name.
He's Googling it.
Not getting anything.
Guy, if you're listening, it sounds like you listen. We were talking about the Padres' offensive woes yesterday. We're going to continue, it looks like, to talk about the Padres' offensive woes, maybe for the rest of our tenure.
I'll Google phone numbers a lot when I get a call that I don't recognize. If it doesn't say like spam risk,
Oh, I answer every call.
I know you do.
That's my favorite.
And you
thing.
wonder why you keep getting
That's,
phone calls.
That's a myth. That's a.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. It's a myth. There's not some giant database of scammers like, hey, this moron answers.
No, but they sell your number amongst others.
It's still sold though. They're still gonna sell.
Right, but they're gonna be like, this guy will answer.
Yeah, you know
He
what I
answers
do
every time.
I answer and I'm like, hey, why don't you go answer your own face? I mess with them every time. Wouldn't that deter more people from calling because you're not going to get me, right?
Right. Yes.
You weren't listening.
Well,
it's fine. No, he wasn't listening at all.
Sometimes, well, as it turns out, my text, just to wrap up my story, it just turned out to be from some guy in the end.
His name's not Guy.
Well, no, it's Guy, and he's just
he was making
it's just some guy.
That's 15 minutes. We'll never get back.
He's a guy.
He's a guy.
Luckily for us, we have to go to break. So.
All right, we'll come back. If you missed it, the incorporator, Jesse Agler, had to work the word rubbleization out of how the Padres season is
100%.
right now.
How do we remove the rubble, though, is the big question.
We need to hire some dump trucks to move it out. Well, with rubbleization, you actually leave it there and you like turn it into gravel for parking lots.
Yeah.
Maybe we can build next season on the rubbleization of this season.
Don't think
for
we
the
have a
San
choice.
Diego Padres right now. You know, you can't make a huge amount of changes, but at some point in the next month, AJ Preller may be facing the most pivotal decision of his career. Is that a possibility?
It's absolutely a possibility.
We'll talk about that coming up as well. It's Ben and Woods returning after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. Got a lot of good stuff still coming up before we are done at 10 o'clock today, including Grant Brisbee from The Athletic at 9:35. Derek in the chat says, I'm just counting down the minutes for Grant Brisbee so we can hear what it's like to have a good team every other season for no reason whatsoever. That's going to be awesome. There's a reason why the Giants are good. I'm not sure I can put my finger on it. Just like I can't put my finger on what's wrong with the Padres. It's hard to put your finger on what keeps going right for the Giants. They won 107 games 2 years ago.
They did.
Had an off year last year. And now here they are again, 9-game winning streak, solidly holding on to a wild card spot when no one expected the Giants to do anything. Most preseason prognostications had them squarely in fourth in the NL West this year. Not a playoff team, but they're playing like one right now, and they're doing it without much pitching. I mean, imagine if they go out at the trade deadline, add a little starting pitching, get healthy, get some of their guys back. This team could be even better than they are right now. They're in 2 bullpen days in a 3-day span against the Padres here, and yet continue to find ways to win. It's actually impressive what the Giants are doing.
It has been. It has been. Whatever they've done in the last few years, Ben, and you know, I hate giving any credit to Gabe Kapler because I just don't really like Gabe Kapler at all in the slightest. But yeah, I mean, look, Anthony DeSclafani is a pedestrian pitcher. He is, and I said it last night in my crapper video that I made for Instagram. He's pedestrian. About a 4 or 5 ERA, but they showed the graphic last night before the game started. His last 5 starts is like a 7. And what does he do? Goes out, gives up a couple, but you know, I mean, it keeps his team right there in the ball game. And then they bring in Beck, and he goes 3 innings.
Yeah, it's 3 runs in 5 innings, so he pitched about 5.5 ERA.
5.5
He didn't do anything special last night.
Yeah, didn't do anything special. But
what you do though, and then you go and you add on. You get 3, you get to a team's bullpen, and then you put it away. That's the formula. That's always been the formula in baseball.
100%.
Get a few against the starter, knock him out in the in the 5th, and then go to town against the 4th or 5th reliever that they have to bring in because they're down. So they're not going to their high leverage guys. And you go to town, you add on, and you win the ball game. It's a simple formula.
Beck comes in, 3 innings, they got 1 hit off him. 1 hit and 1 walk. That's it. That's all the traffic that he gave up. And then Tyler Rogers comes in and gives up a knock, strikes out a batter. He's pitched okay this year. He's pitched really well for them. But you know, that's not Duvall that's shutting you down out there. Again, these are the guys that they're like, all right, hopefully we can find a way to get through this tonight. No problem, because the Padres just stop adding on runs. And you know, you have the 9th guy in your order trying to drop down a bunt every time he comes to the plate, and there's just no ability or I'm not going to say desire because I know they want to add on, but there's no ability and seeming they're like allergic to adding on runs and putting teams away. Foot on the throat is just not existing with this team right now.
Yeah, and you know they have the capability to do it. Yeah, clearly it's a mix between the ethereal, which is why are we struggling under pressure, not getting hits and runners in scoring position, and the actual tangible guys who are struggling. Trent Grisham, Austin Nola, Matt Carpenter, guys at the bottom of the order. There's, you don't expect a guy who is struggling and hitting 170, 150 to come through with a runner in scoring position. You do expect guys like Juan Soto and Fernando Tatis Jr. to do it. And we went through those numbers yesterday, Woods. Even the guys who are hitting well are still not hitting well with runners in scoring position.
No doubt.
And the guys who are not hitting well are hitting much worse than they usually do with runners in scoring position as well.
No doubt.
Pretty crazy. All right, let's get to the Incorporator again. Jesse yesterday, Agler joining us, and I gave him the word that he needed to work into last night's broadcast. Your Incorporator word for tonight is rubblization. Rubblization, very simple, construction and engineering technique that involves saving time and transportation costs by reducing existing concrete into rubble at its current location rather than hauling it to another location.
Oh, yeah. Like breaks it up.
Yeah,
rubblization.
That's a great word. Really fun to say. Love it.
And when Jesse worked it in about as seamlessly as he's done with any Incorporator word, this came from the 8th inning last night in the Padres-Giants game.
Lovely night again at Oracle Park, although it has certainly cooled off a bit since first pitch as the sun has gone down. It's not yet pitch black here. Some deep blue skies all around. Playing just about 10 or 15 minutes north of Old Candlestick Park, where it was never comfortable, they say. Pitch to Kim is Outside ball one. That building is gone. This thing, remember, opened up now 23 years ago. They did the demolition down at Candlestick Point, the rubblization, leveled that thing. Now it's a state park area.
Unbelievable. Guy never misses.
Did you ever go to Old Candlestick?
No.
I went once. It was windy and it was cold, and I think it was summer. Never, not a great place to watch a game.
Yeah, I don't think it would have been a real fun place to play in, either home or away. I mean, if that's your home ballpark, I guess you kind of get used to it, but it just never. I watched it obviously a ton on TV, and you're like, oh my god, there's trash blowing around the field. It just looked miserable there.
Think
all
of
the
it more
time.
as like a football stadium.
Yeah.
You think Candlestick Park, I think the 49ers, not necessarily the Giants. They got a much better setup now at Oracle Park.
No question. That place looks phenomenal. And the wind was swirling last night, just nasty. But listen, here we go. Here we go again.
Where are we going again?
Well, got tipped off by someone in the chat. Said, hey, I don't know if you guys heard Le Batard. No, we're on the air right now. We couldn't.
Yesterday.
Was it yesterday? Okay, so Skip Schumacher, former Padres bench coach, dear friend of the program, was on.
Such a dear friend that he was recently featured in a prominent Miami Marlins Instagram video wearing a Ben and Woods shirt.
Blew me away.
That was so cool.
Absolutely blew me
Dan
away.
Le Batard, national show, but they are based in Miami. They bleed Miami, so I'm sure they're getting to be good friends with Skip Schumacher.
Yep.
He was on for, 30, 40 minutes with them yesterday, and yeah, I don't remember exactly who it was in the chat, but thank you for tipping us off because some spicy comments made by Skip.
Can't wait to hear him.
Someone who has spent time in the Padres clubhouse with a lot of these guys. Interesting. All right, we will play that for you when we come back with Ben and Woods. Do not go away. It's San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Sometimes it just times out perfectly, Paulie, when the music comes on, when the levee breaks by Led Zeppelin. And the levee is not broken yet.
How do you pronounce it?
Levee. Oh, what did I say? Levee. I've been doing that. I've been putting weird
I
accents.
drove the Chevy to the levee, but the levee
when the
was
levee
dry.
I do it like he sings it. When the levee breaks. That's how I do it. Levee. I'm an idiot. Sorry.
Didn't know there were multiple songs about levees out there.
Why don't you settle down?
This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by SC Johnson Off.
Yep.
Have to remind everybody about that. I have not heard this spicy audio of which we just teased.
Nor have I.
From the Dan Le Batard show just a moment ago. We will get to that.
Dan
after
Le Batard, as I call it. Dan Le Batard. I put the accents on all the weird things.
Le Batard.
Dan Le Batard.
It's very French.
Phasis.
Yeah. I'm all over the place.
We will hear from a former Padres bench coach coming up right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Kia of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Tannick.
Traffic is sponsored by Viejas Casino and Resort. Got a few things going on in the North County, westbound side of the 78, just past College. A collision involving a couple vehicles there over the right shoulder. Traveling on southbound 15, just past Felicita, getting reports of some sort of debris in the right lane. Then up ahead, crashed in the Villa Rancho Parkway off-ramp. Brought to you by the easiest casino to drive to. Viejas is just 25 minutes from downtown San Diego and one simple exit off the 8 freeway. No topsy-turvy, poorly lit roads are needed to win big. Arrive safely at San Diego's luxury gaming destination, Viejas Casino and Resort. I'm Kelly Danik with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Live coverage of every Padres game on The Fan, available through the Odyssey app. Wherever you are in the San Diego area, you can listen to every pitch on Odyssey. Just download the free app, search 97.3 The Fan to get started. It's probably how Skip Schumacher continues to listen to this program.
Yeah, on the
in
Odyssey
Miami, or when he's traveling on the Odyssey app. Free to listen to Ben and Woods. And always interesting hearing what someone who used to be on the inside, but now is unconstrained by the rules of employment, has to say about an organization. You can be a little more candid. Obviously, you probably still don't want to burn too many bridges, but you can be more candid than certainly you are when you're in the employ of a Major League Baseball club.
Well, part of his comments here is he says, I've been on staffs in the past.
Staffs.
So you'd have to draw your own conclusions on which organizations he may be talking about.
Well,
he's only been on 2 other staffs that I know about.
Cardinals.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I think we know how Skip feels about the Cardinals. And he's been San Diego Padres bench coach.
Yep. He was so last season he was with the Cardinals.
So I guess make your own conclusion.
So
And
he's
now
either
he
talking
is-
about the Cardinals or the Padres.
Right.
We can draw
He's
that
not on the
conclusion.
Marlins staff. He heads up
He
the
is
staff.
the Marlins staff. But this
10
was,
games over 500, by the way.
Marlins manager Skip Schumacher on the Dan Le Batard show yesterday, and it starts with a question from somebody on Le Batard's crew.
Skip, I'm curious. You spent a long time preparing to be a manager. Actually being a manager, how does the day-to-day routine of it, the pressure of it, compare to how you imagined it would be?
Being in my seat, I've learned the most is I have to have a really good staff around me. I have to be surrounded by guys that I can trust. Covering my blind spots was huge. I've been on staffs before where it was a little bit toxic and guys were going after each other's jobs or, that type of stuff. That is not how this thing should be run. I was very lucky that Kim I wouldn't say we together identified some people that I've either coached with or played with to become part of our staff and know what winning looks like. And there's no ego involved. It's always been about the player and always will be about the player. And so for us to know that was super important. And again, I think, I'm the manager, but there's a lot of guys around me that work extremely hard and prepare extremely well, that cover my blind spots, again, that I trust. And so I think that's been the most important part. And I'm very fortunate to have good guys I'm surrounded by.
Toxic.
Now, when he was here, it's a completely different set of coaches at this point. But it does kind of maybe explain a little bit about the 2021 season and how things fell apart so badly with the once-in-a-century type collapse and why Jace Tingler ultimately lost his job, that didn't seem to have control of the players or necessarily had earned their complete trust and respect. And maybe even the coaches weren't exactly working all on behalf of Jace Tingler that season either.
Yeah. I mean, heard the same rumblings about, a guy that used to play here that was going around, to the pitching staff and saying, hey, you don't like throwing to him, right? You like throwing to me. Let them know if anybody asks, which is that's like high school crap. Like instead of, hey man, we're the catching tandem, let's kick some ass together. It's, hey, if somebody asks, make sure you say you prefer throwing to me, even though I couldn't hit water if I fell out of a boat. That's the kind of stuff that just can't happen on a championship caliber team, a playoff team, a team, that's building to be great.
That's why you bring in a guy like Bob Melvin.
That's right. Yeah, that's why. In my opinion, that's why you bring in a guy like Bob Melvin.
I don't know what goes on necessarily behind the scenes in Bob Melvin's coaching room and whether guys are, backstabbing and fighting, but that's not his reputation, to be sure.
Bob's?
No, that's not. Bob is a guy who has always had the trust and respect of both his players and the coaches that he works with during his managerial career.
100%. I mean, every single human being that we talked to, including that guy right there, said I would have done anything to stay and be on Bob's staff because I just wanted to learn at his hand. That's what I wanted to do. And every person from the Bay Area.
He would have thrown BP.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, the guy who is currently managing a team that is 10 games over 500, exceeding all expectations, told us would have done he wanted to work for Bob and learn from Bob.
Hit outfield, anything. And that's the reputation that he has around the game. And, I do look at it and think, man, if this goes awry with Bob Melvin and, look, has nothing to do with where I work. I don't want Bob Melvin fired today. I don't. I don't. I want to give him the rest of the year. I want to see if he can turn this thing around because I don't really like the alternatives at all. I mean, there's not an alternative there that I look at and go, yeah, he's a better fit. I did when Jace Tingler was here. I thought, I don't know that Jace is the guy.
You do have to sometimes fire a manager who's done nothing wrong.
Correct.
That does happen in Major League Baseball. And sometimes it even works, which I'm sure must be galling to the manager who got fired.
For sure.
Like, okay, you just promoted the guy who under me, who was definitely not doing anything that I wasn't doing. And now all of a sudden the team is playing better. The team didn't hate me. Nothing happened. It just was mixing something up that wasn't working. It does happen. I don't think we're going to see that with Bob Melvin. I don't think it would be a good idea given the options that are available right now to the Padres. I don't see how firing Bob Melvin would help the team right now. I know there's a lot of people, fans out there who say just pull the trigger, and he's got to go.
I listen. I respect
in
your
my
opinion.
this is not a fact. This is just my baseball opinion. If the Padres fired Bob Melvin today, it would create a much bigger disaster than they have currently. You think it couldn't get worse? My guess is it would get much, much worse if the Padres fired Bob Melvin. And I know a lot of people just completely are yelling at their radio right now.
That's fine.
But you'd either be promoting someone who's already inside a team that's not working.
All right,
or you'd be bringing in who from the outside that has it. What, you're going to completely change philosophies in the middle of a season and expect that's going to help guys that are struggling? I just don't see it. An Ozzie Guillen, who was out there that you'd bring in the middle of a season as an interim manager?
That's it. Always comes down
that
to
would even take the job.
If they were such a good manager, why are they not employed right now?
Well, yeah, and if you wanted to do the Phillies route, like when they fired Girardi and promoted Rob Thompson, you're looking at Ryan Christensen as your manager. Does that do anything for the players or for us or for the organization? I don't know.
Be more
no
similar
idea.
to Bob Melvin,
right? He trained under Bob Melvin. He's a Bob Melvin apprentice, and it sounds
it would be somebody like Ryan Flaherty, and we already know how everybody feels about Ryan Flaherty.
Yeah, the players all love him.
I know a lot of people say Mike Schilt, won a World Series. He's part of the organization. Again, I don't see that as any big personality change. Mike Schilt is basically kind of a different version of Bob Melvin. Now, if you wanted a completely different and hire a Joe Madden or a Ozzie Guillen, yeah, you consider that in the off season when you want to change a culture and you got spring training and you want to do something completely different, sure, you consider that in the offseason. But those guys don't come in the middle of the season to take an interim job for a couple of months on a team that's struggling. Why would they do that? Why would they risk their reputation walking into a clubhouse where they have no idea what's happening?
If Dominic says, are any of them going to make them hit better? Yeah, I don't think so. And that's really been the Achilles heel.
And this isn't a defense necessarily of Bob Melvin. I'm just telling you, he is incredibly well respected by other well-respected people in baseball. I have not heard one bad word from any of the players about him,
Never.
Even off the record,
Never.
confidential,
Never once.
nothing at all. These are simply the facts as I know them. And it leads me to believe that Bob Melvin is not the problem. I, of course, disagree with some of his decisions.
I disagree with him the last 2 nights.
As every fan should, and probably a few of the players occasionally. As people have disagreed with probably plenty of Skip Schumacher's decisions.
100%.
There are people who disagree with Kevin Cash's decisions on the team with the best record in baseball. Every manager makes a questionable or 2 decision every day.
Dave Roberts has won a buttload of games for the LA Dodgers, an absolute truckload of games. 90% of the Dodger fans, when I was on Twitter, hated him. They hated him. That guy's won so many ball games for your club. Look, it's easy to say he's got to go, fire the manager, next guy up. But this would be the 4th manager in how many years? Honestly. And if you was Pat Murphy the interim under AJ?
He was Jace Tingler at the end, the last under Andy Green. When Andy Green was fired, they made Pat Murphy the manager.
I thought it was Bud Black got fired.
8 games. Then Andy Green was hired.
I thought it was Bud Black, Pat Murphy.
Andy Green.
It was,
Andy Green.
The catch.
Oh,
that's
Barajas?
right. Yeah, Rob Barajas.
Yeah.
Right at
He
the
filled
end.
in at the
At the end of Andy Green. Yep, you're right. You got the timeline right.
At some point, what I don't want to happen is this, because everyone agreed with the Bob Melvin move and thought it was a huge coup when we got him, right? Huge coup. Like, he wasn't really available, but we made the call and they let him go, and it was like a huge coup. Everyone in baseball lauded this move by the San Diego Padres. If we get to this, NLCS first year, questionable decisions, sure, absolutely. It's going to happen in the heat of the moment, and it sucked and it's over. But some questionable decisions this year, absolutely. It's going to happen with every single manager. We can't fire this guy now and continue to say, all right, let's bring in another. Who's the next man up? This conveyor belt of managers. At some point, we got to look at the bigger problem.
Right. Well, it's, I'm not saying the bigger problem is the guy who's making the hire, but ultimately the construction of the Padres belongs to AJ Preller.
The buck stops, I think, with the general manager who builds the team. And we talked about the scenario yesterday of making a good meal out of what you have in the kitchen. And things are good until you run out of ingredients. And then it gets a little bit dicey and you're subbing things you don't want to have to sub for. And last night's a perfect example, you guys. Perfect example. You've got a fresh Brent Honeywell sitting in the bullpen, hasn't pitched since Friday. Who does Bob Melvin go to? Tim Hill. What does that tell you about Brent Honeywell and the trust that Bob Melvin has in him? Less than none, right? You've got other guys in that bullpen that you're just not going to go to. You have essentially about 4 to 5 guys. You can only pitch in a blowout one way or the other. That is not on Bob Melvin. I guess you could put it on the players for not executing, right? And I do that a lot. I'm typically a blame the players guy. But at the end of the day, you can only work with the tools that you've been given to work with. And if you've got 5 guys down there that you just don't trust to hold a lead in a close game, that's not on Bob Melvin, my friends. It's not. You can wish it to be true. It's just not.
Ultimately, I would hope that he'd agree with this statement. AJ Preller has made too many mistakes in player personnel decisions as general manager of the San Diego Padres. Didn't look like mistakes at the time. He's made a lot of moves that were heralded. I don't care what you and I say.
Right.
National, respected baseball observers, writers, media members, people in the sport have gotten very excited about moves that AJ Preller has made and predicted good things for the Padres based on the moves that he can make. He wins the offseason almost every single year. But ultimately, in hindsight, a lot of the moves that he makes that are even praised as terrific moves don't work out very well for his team.
Yeah, by us and by everybody. I get so excited about
But don't
Rockstar GM. I
don't-
do. I love it. It's fun as hell to talk
But
about.
there's
and
not a lot
prognosticate.
There's not a lot of people out there who have the receipts who went and said, "I think the Xander Bogaerts move is terrible."
Yeah, there's a few.
I was gonna say, there's definitely some out there.
There's some. I mean,
when they signed him, I was like, "Yeah, let's go." I've seen this guy crush.
We would be wrong in saying that we were
I'd lie. I'd be
reluctant
absolute
or anything
liar.
like that.
100%
But there was
liar.
definitely people out there that like it was a stunner.
It was.
It shocked everyone. They're
Well,
like,
and
my
then
God.
and then the reports too. And again, I didn't really know how much to buy into the reports of the $400 million offer to Aaron Judge, Trey Turner. I didn't know. And I think both of those players have confirmed it essentially that the Padres were absolutely knocking on the door there. That, in my opinion, I mean, either of those moves you look at and you go, yeah, who wouldn't want Aaron Judge or Trey Turner on your squad, right? That Xander, was that just we got to do something. We got to do something. Peter has said, I can spend some money. I'm going to go spend some money. I'm going to roll the dice.
You ever want something to purchase?
100%.
You don't get it.
You just got to
And
buy.
then you're like,
you got to buy
I
something.
need to feel something.
but the criticism of the Xander Bogaerts move, even the people who criticized it, were it's too long. The last 4 or 5 years,
but
he's not been any good. But everyone agreed that Xander's going to be great for the first 5 or 6 years, though. Xander is going. He's a great player. He's going to be good. The question is, how long is he going to be good for?
The criticism was, did they need him?
Well, right. That's one.
That was the
that's
criticism.
one. But the other one was, it was so easy to explain away. I said it. Quote: I don't care what he looks like at 41 if we've got 2 World Series. I don't care. I will watch him break down. Yeah, same. Still don't, actually. I still don't care.
They get one.
If they get
fine.
1 or 2, 100%, man. Great signing, right? But just you hear that stuff, man, it just bums you out. It does. It gets the brain going and thinking, all right, man, team needs a nice hard reset. 2 close losses in the last 2 nights certainly don't help, and it gets the stomach churning a little bit.
Are there GMs out there who, given the resources of the owner, Peter Seidler, would have made a different decision, a better decision? Like, you know what? I know you say we can go out and spend $250 million. I don't think we need to. Let's just not make that call. Or would every person sitting in that chair have done what AJ was going to do?
I think they would,
given the resources. All right, well, I'm going to offer it to Aaron Judge. Okay, I'm going to offer it to Trey Turner. Okay, I'm going to offer it to Xander Bogaerts.
Yeah.
Is there someone in baseball who, given the check, would not have tried to acquire a great player? Or is AJ just doing what everybody would have done? Because if you want to move on from AJ, what's the different direction you're going in?
Right. No idea.
But AJ's made a lot of mistakes.
He's made a lot of good moves too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, made a lot of good moves. It's the mistakes now
But
are starting to magnify.
The mistakes
compound.
are why the Padres don't have a lot of depth, because he's had to trade
to
fill other holes, and that's left the cupboard a little bit bare below compared to some of these other teams they're going up against. And whether it's injury
just funny.
or lack of performance, they don't have guys to kind of step up that other teams have, brought up top prospects like Ellie De La Cruz or Luis Mato, whoever.
The funny thing is, man, is look at Alex Anthopoulos. Dude, come on. Braves fans, you can't sit here and tell me when he went out and just got 9 outfielders at the deadline with the Jorge Solers of the world and the other dude and left, what the hell was his name? That had the monster. What the hell was his name? That the monster series. You can't tell me, Braves fans, that you're like, my GM is an absolute wizard. You're like, no, he's looting the garbage bin for players. And look what we got. They all happen to come together, and they won a World Series. But you can't tell me that you looked at those moves and go,
that would have been aggressive even for AJ.
No
to
kidding.
do something like that.
No kid. Eddie Rosario. That's it.
Yeah, Eddie Rosario.
You didn't know. Braves fans said Eddie Rosario's the missing piece. You never know what the missing piece is going to be.
This hour on The Fan brought to you by Smart & Final. Smart & Final's got your whole 4th of July cookout, from snacks to burgers to drinks and more, at prices that are worth celebrating. Get it all at one trip, and that's it. All right, final hour of Ben and Woods coming up. We got a Rindle Report, some headlines, and your calls coming up next on The Fan. Good spot by Austin in the chat. But I'm also going to push back on it as well. Austin pointed out that he checked, and he is absolutely right. I just double confirmed it. Padres are 35-38 right now through 73 games this season. The 2021 Braves were 35-38. The 2019 Nationals were 35-38.
So
this exact same point in the season.
We're guaranteed to win the World Series.
That's the pushback
because they did it.
You'd actually.
How many other teams were at
You'd
this
actually
record?
rather be where the Rays are at this point,
Yes.
with 50+ wins. Is there something to be said for everybody who is, throwing in the towel on the season? That maybe it's too early to do that when 2 of the last 4 World Series champions shared the exact same record as the Padres right now at this exact same moment in the season. Of course, I think it's pretty silly on people's parts when they're telling me season's over, throw in the towel, blow it up at this moment. I do absolutely think that if they can't turn things around fairly quickly, they will be heading toward the blow it up and the season is over. But they're not at that point yet with 89 games still to go.
It's not really 89 games to go, though, right? It's really 36 games to go because that's the trade deadline. And that's when you need to decide, are we buyers? Are we sellers? Do we stand pat? I don't think A.J. Preller has ever stood pat. So I think the one thing you do run the risk of, Ben, if they play 12-24 baseball, or they even play 18-18 baseball with the next 36, you're still 3 games below 500. If you played 500 ball until the trade deadline, you're still below 500. That being said, who knows what the other teams have done? Who knows where you stand? If you're 5 games out of a wild card and you're A.J. Preller, you're like, hey, man, we were supposed to win the World Series this year. This could be my ass. I'm not going to get rid of control. I'm not going to get rid of pieces that are going to be free agents. We're going to go for this. And I'm going to trade this guy and this guy and this guy, and I'm going to bring in this guy.
That's the only spot other than, being a supportive guy who writes the checks. That's the one area where an owner sometimes has to step in. When he looks and sees a situation where what is best for his general manager is not necessarily what is best for his organization as a whole. And I'm not saying that A.J. Preller will go down this road.
Who knows? He starts shopping Ethan Salas, Jackson Merrill, like you guys are gone because if we I'm going to use you for pieces that will help win us the World Series this year.
We're getting Scott Barlow from
or
the
I'm
Royals.
fired.
A.J. Preller showed a lot of patience from 2016 until 2019 in wearing it and knowing that you can't go for it every single year. But there have been teams where your general manager puts you in even a worse spot trying to save their job. Who wouldn't kind of do that? I mean, if you've got a 5% chance of saving your job, and otherwise, if I do nothing, we're done. We're toast and I'm toast. So, or I can throw a lot of bad money after good. And if it works out, I'm a genius and we win the World Series and I am a hero forever. If it doesn't, guess what? I'm fired anyway.
You ever walk out of you ever get up from a blackjack table with only one $5 chip left? No,
Isn't it what Alex Anthopoulos did a couple of years ago?
Get Jock Peterson, Jorge Soler.
He threw crap at the wall, hoping to save his job,
and fell on his knees and prayed that it would work.
It's not even a trade deadline though. This goes to the ridiculous contract extensions. HJ's like, look, in 11 years, either I've got 2 or 3 banners flying and everything's good and we'll figure it out, or I'm gone. I'm long gone.
I won't have to deal with it.
I don't have to worry about what Xander Bogaerts is doing when he's 39.
I mean, you want to think in your mind, nobody thinks that way. That nobody's going to intentionally tank a team, but yeah, you're going to say, I need to do what in my opinion, the best move for the team is today, this season. It's hard to sometimes think beyond, especially when the expectations were so high and everyone was predicting you to at least win the West. World Series, playoffs are a crapshoot. Everyone knows that. Ask the Dodgers, 111 wins. It's a crapshoot. But you were expected to win the West. You're not sniffing the lead of the West now.
Which brings us to something I teased earlier and will maybe be the biggest topic over the next month on this show. And that is, if the Padres do not start playing better in the next week or so, 2 weeks, whatever, Are you going to keep Juan Soto or are you going to trade Juan Soto at the deadline? Because Juan Soto, and what Perry Manassian, the Angels general manager, said yesterday, that Shohei Ohtani is not going to be traded. Likely, they are planning to keep him for a playoff run. It would make Juan Soto, again, for the second straight year, the most valuable piece out there at the trade deadline, and someone that you might be able to get an absolute haul for, especially with Joe Sheehan wrote about it yesterday. The metrics are looking very positive right now for Juan Soto, that he could be poised for a monster second half of the year. All the other GMs see that as well, and they could be salivating, drooling over the possibility of adding Juan Soto to their playoff run. But it means, of course, if you're the Padres, kind of at least partially waving the white flag on a season with immense expectations. That might be the best thing for this team, though, if they don't start winning soon. Will A.J. Preller go down that road over the next few weeks? I'm sure we'll be talking about it a lot.
Did not think we'd be having these conversations this year. Really didn't.
Might be the best thing overall for the franchise to reload the depth in the system. Now, you got to get that trade right, too. Doesn't help you to trade Juan Soto if you get a bunch of prospects that don't pan out, guys that you overvalue, that other organizations are kind of okay to get rid of. Good prospect ranking, but we don't see that much in them. You'd have to nail that trade just like any other one if you want to do what's right for your team. I mean, it's not time yet.
Hey, man,
it's not time yet.
I'm so glad I don't have to make that decision. I'm so glad I'm not Perry Manassian. And I'm so glad I'm not A.J. Preller to have to make that decision to pull the trigger or pull the ripcord, if you will, and say, all right, we're gonna cash in while the stock's high. And I know I could own it for another year, and maybe it'll double then. But I know right now what I can get. It's a tough call. It's a really tough call.
I would imagine
I don't have to make that decision.
You're studying the contenders right now, though.
Yeah,
and what they have at the top of their farm systems, and you're making a list. If you're A.J. Preller, you have to be, because you need to be prepared. You're certainly hoping that the Padres go on a run here and you're a buyer at the deadline, but I would hope you're making the list right now as to, what might be the best avenues to pursue in the next month if things don't work out. Leave it at that for the moment, but we'll talk about it a lot more.
Yeah, for the record, I don't want him traded. I think our lineup is infinitely worse without him.
Of course.
I can't imagine what it would look like without Juan Soto. It makes me sick to my stomach. Who replaces him? Right there. Who replaces him? Who's my left fielder? You trade him today. Who's my left fielder tonight?
This is not a today move, but it's.
But you're talking about a couple weeks, maybe.
Yeah.
You're cold-hearted.
I know. Always have been.
Yep.
Paulie,
sociopath.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right. 2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a oh yeah? Oh yeah.
All right. You gotta turn your mic on for everybody to hear your all right.
All right.
Oh, that just went away. Son of a bitch.
Evan.
The music went away.
No.
I'll bring it back here in a second. Anyways, we will start off in Major League Baseball. Gentlemen, there was some news yesterday that I know had people already starting the chants.
Every time, man.
Bring him
home.
Oh, they absolutely should.
Bring him home. Bring him home.
Who's that?
Bubs at the ballpark needs to bring home their best bartender ever.
I thought you were saying maybe the Rays need to bring him home, or maybe the Royals need to bring him home. But Will Myers was DFA'd yesterday by the Cincinnati Reds. Do you think that is something A.J. Preller even picks up his phone on?
I don't think that that's the answer to the Padres' issues at the moment.
What team cut him?
What's that?
What
Reds.
team cut him?
The Reds.
What's his What's his OPS? How's he playing this year?
Let's see. He had a 3-homer game.
That's good.
And I believe that was all of his home runs.
Will
in one
Myers, he's batting 189. That's the only 3 home runs he's hit this year or in that game.
Good day. Good day at the ballpark.
Let's see.
Very Will Myers like,
Yeah,
isn't it?
very much.
OBP of 257, OPS 541.
Fit right in.
It was, I'm not saying he got done dirty. He certainly didn't. It's a hard way to go out. He got put on the injured list with a kidney stone.
Ugh.
And then
Try acoustic wave
while
therapy.
he's gone, the Reds bring up this young prospect, Ellie De La Cruz,
Yes.
and they go on a 10-game winning streak. And of course, when he comes back from the kidney stone, we're not a place for you anymore. I'm sorry, you're done. Yeah, we've gotten hot without you, and we have moved on. And we're sorry, Will, but it was nice knowing you for a couple of months.
Yeah, for me, you asked me my opinion. I'll say pass. I'm good on passing.
Now, if they trade Juan Soto and they're tanking for a better draft pick, he might be the perfect left fielder for August and September.
Sentences I never thought I would hear.
What if somebody,
pleasant enough fellow?
What if somebody said to you he would be better than Brandon Dixon at the league minimum?
Somebody did say that to me yesterday. They did. I said, "Okay, you got me there."
I don't know that he would be even better than Brandon
That's
Dixon.
true.
He'd be more popular.
Oh yeah,
than Brandon Dixon.
Feels like a step backwards, but what do I know?
I would agree.
It is a giant step backwards. Please, let's not discuss this anymore.
I did like what Joey Votto had to say. Watched a little bit of their game yesterday, and the broadcasters were talking about how he's just come back from injury too. And he goes, "Man, this team, I've never felt an energy around the Reds like I feel now." He goes, "I'm not coming back here to push somebody out of a job. I'm coming back here to earn my job. I have to earn it with these guys every day." I went,
great quote.
That's a great
brilliant
quote. Brilliant. Like, hey, I got to produce. Like, I'm not Joey Votto, the cornerstone anymore. There are guys losing their jobs.
Joey Votto, the old guy.
He's like, I'm coming back to produce and earn my spot. And I went, God bless. That's a refreshing attitude.
God, I love Joey Votto.
I do too.
All right, we're going to move forward to the WNBA because there was some absolute insanity last night between the Dallas Wings and the Atlanta Dream. This game had 10 technical fouls in it.
Tee him up.
What's the most you think you would see in a game usually? Like two?
Like two?
At the most?
Yeah.
Like a double tag here, get ejected or whatever. 10 technical fouls were called between Dallas and Atlanta. It's the most ever in a WNBA contest, of course. And Dallas's head coach said, "I've never seen anything
what happened?
like
Just
this."
Brawling or what?
So 5 of the 10 were just defensive 3 seconds calls, 3 seconds in the key or whatever. That's a technical foul,
right?
Technically speaking. 4 of those 5 were by Atlanta. All 4 out of 5 of them belong to them. There was 1 delay of game on Dallas, and then there were 4 individual technicals all against Dallas as well, and that came with some chippiness, and one of them came on one of their star players who ended up getting ejected. Double technical will do the trick, but 10 technical fouls in one basketball.
That's kind of fun. Kind of fun to watch those chippy games, though.
Yeah, why not? I mean, people enjoy watching it in the men's game. Why wouldn't they enjoy watching it in the women's game as well?
I'm gonna start teeing my wife up at home when she doesn't say, "Bam, technical." Wonder how many tees I would get and how many tees she would get in a day.
Well, 2 and you got to go.
2 and I got to go.
Yeah, you get a technical for arguing in the first quarter, and then a separate technical in the third quarter for arguing. You're gone.
That's it.
Yeah.
Was that where I sleep in my car? Boots me from the house.
Yeah.
You start teeing her up.
Right.
See how that
Let
works.
me know how that goes.
I will.
All right, finally, I like these stories. I'm just here to help guys. If you're looking for some extra work, got a way you can make $127,000 a year.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
There is a billionaire in the UK.
He's got a submarine that he wants to take down to the Titanic.
No. Billionaire in the UK is hiring a live-in dog nanny to take care of the family's
Sold.
2 dogs.
Sold.
Just 2. Now, of course, you will have to move to the UK.
Sold.
And it's coming with a 6-figure salary. It's going to pay $127,000 a year. You will be traveling the world with the family. It says here are the details on the job. You can apply online, by the way. This is available. Family has 2 beloved dogs that require top-tier care and must be treated like valued members of the family. They're looking for a live-in dog nanny, so you'd be staying in their mansion or a guest house set up on the property, rent-free. You'll need to coordinate all the vet appointments and keep all the records of their health and medical history.
Treat
and
them
all
like
that.
kids. Yeah.
You will develop a personalized exercise regimen for each dog.
Walk them.
I think, is
a couple times a day.
Maybe walk.
I do
quickly.
that already with my dogs.
Today's a quick walk. Tomorrow we're going to slow it down a little bit. I don't know. You will accompany them on all domestic and international trips and arrange things like pet-friendly accommodations, find pet-friendly hotels and all of that. You will have to organize play dates with other dogs and find, quote, enriching activities to stimulate their senses.
Read Shakespeare to them. Yeah.
And you will also just handle all of the normal stuff that comes
bark
with having a dog. Cleaning.
That is the question.
Bathing them. Ben, I hate you.
How do you make me feel worse
I don't know.
after 2 bad wins? I just feel worse now.
Anyways, if you got the little wanderlust, looking for work, there you go.
Should have done it in my youth. Should have gone and lived abroad. I lived in a bunch of different cities, and that was fun.
Never really been abroad.
But I should have gone and lived abroad for a while.
I was I think I was too much of a
one of my
nervous
biggest regrets.
Nelly.
And nervous
A
purpose.
lot of people in college did that semester abroad, and I go, no, I don't want to. I'm not ready to extend myself and live in Spain for
Buddy,
4 months.
my wife was the same way. Grew up here. This is a hard place to leave. It's a hard place to leave. She's never lived anywhere else. Why would you ever? Why would you possibly want to go anywhere but right
I
here?
moved here
Like,
for college.
yes.
I'm like, I just got here. I
I
don't
ain't
want to go
leaving.
anywhere.
I love it.
But I do regret not studying abroad, even for a semester.
Yeah, just something, right? Something.
You want to try to get in on our phone lines? We haven't taken nearly as many calls as yesterday.
By nearly as many, you mean any?
Yes, and we took a lot yesterday,
We
but
did.
we do have a couple of minutes coming up here before Grant Brisbee joins us at the bottom of the hour. 833-288-0973. Here's your chance. Padres halfway through their series with the Giants, and we're about 80%, 85% of the way through Ben and Woods today here on 97.3 The Fan. We'll be back after traffic. you see what happened in the Rangers-White Sox game last night?
Yeah, you showed me that this morning.
Yeah, 6-6 in the bottom of the 8th inning. White Sox drive in a run at home plate. He's called out at the plate, but on video review, the replay officials in New York say that Jonah Heim, the catcher for the Rangers, was blocking the plate, and they allowed the run to count, and it turned out to be the winning run. Bruce Bochy came out, was immediately ejected. Pretty much the universal reaction around baseball was, what are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you supposed to do?
He was behind the plate. He was to the side of the plate.
Woo.
He was never right in front of the plate. How could that be called blocking the plate?
Cost them the game.
It did. Well, at least cost them the chance to win the game. They would have been tied. Instead, they ended up losing 7-6. This tweet just in from Tim Flannery says, Boch knows the home plate blocking new rules. He was on the forefront of changing the rule after Buster Posey got hurt on a collision. Wasn't that the one game that Paulie said he ever went to at Oracle Park?
One game.
What the replay overturn last night did in Texas was a complete joke. Who's betting on the games in New York? Let the baseball players play. Old school take from Flan. You'd expect nothing else, but
Sure.
I
saw the video. I mean, I saw the video and I saw the still shots and everything. And you look at it and go, what are you talking about? What can they possibly do? Again, it's one of those weird calls that seems so subjective to what the umpire sees. And even after replay, and this one doesn't even feel subjective.
What Austin Nola did on, what was it, Sunday? Seemed more egregious than what Jonah Heim did.
Yeah.
You have to have some consistency in implementing and enforcing the rule. If you're going to have that rule, and I don't hate the rule, you can't be allowed to just park in front of home plate if you're a catcher wearing all that gear. People will get hurt, whether it's the catcher or the runner. That's dumb. But at the same time, you do have to let them play some bit of baseball. And to me, it should be fairly obvious to the umpire at home plate if a guy is blocking the plate or not unfairly. That's not a hard call to make, is it?
No, it's really not.
I mean, you standing there, you're watching the play, and you're like, dude, you didn't even give him a chance to get to home plate. He's safe on the ruling.
So did they review it?
They called him. They called him safe. And then when they went to the review, New York said, "Oh no, he was blocking the plate.
Okay,
he's out."
Good Lord. Yeah, it's just that's the rule. And then the Davey Martinez running down the line, clearly inside the line. Those are the things that should be pretty easy fixes in baseball, but they're not. There's really no easy fixes right now. Some of the umpiring, again, has been horrible. Last night, I haven't even talked about it this year. I'm usually the guy on here the next day saying he was horrible. I mean, but some of the calls just, 2 balls outside the Giants pitchers were getting, and then we weren't getting, a hair under the zone. Martinez got hosed in a couple. Soto's been
Xander Bogaerts
crushed.
is struggling. But when you come up on the first pitch is 4 inches outside and it's called a strike.
Yeah.
What are you supposed to do the rest of the at bat?
It's really tough.
Just swing at anything, because who knows? Anything could be called a
Those
strike.
strikes are so
Matt
precious.
Carpenter had a 3-0 pitch that was a ball that was called a strike. Should have been on in the 9th inning. Didn't get on. Juan Soto got called out on it was a closer one, but he was right as usual. It was a ball off the plate. Should have walked. Ended up striking out.
It is. Yeah, Eric just says it's moving around a bit. Yeah, it was moving around last night is how it felt, man. So again, you're going to give him 2 balls out. Give it both ways. Give it consistently.
It's such a dilemma because I understand the argument. Hey, if it's close, you can't leave it up to the umpire.
Sure.
You got to be swinging. At the same time,
it's not your
never
game,
a great idea to swing at a pitch out of the zone. That's what the pitcher wants you to do. So it's basically, a bad choice either way. Either you're swinging at a pitch that you're probably getting out on, or you're letting the umpire take you out of an at-bat by making a bad call. And so ultimately you got to hope the umpire, don't you have to trust and hope that the umpire is going to make the correct call and do their job?
No doubt.
Correctly behind home plate, yet so often they're not doing it, just creeping closer toward that automatic strike. So I saw, though, that they don't think it's working quite well enough in the minor leagues. They don't think it's going to be implemented next year, at least. There's still more fine-tuning.
What about the challenge one? I like the challenge.
They're doing it, so they're splitting. In AAA, they're splitting it. One, every other day, or I don't know which days of the week, the umpire simply hears it in his ear, striker ball, and calls it.
Yep.
The other days, The umpire calls it like normal,
right?
But the manager can challenge a ball or strike, and then the automatic strike zone will tell them whether it's successful or not. Kind of like tennis.
How many?
I don't know how many they're doing in the minor leagues.
Seems pretty. The relaying of balls and strikes, just like they do with the clock. They've got that little buzzer on their hand, and they're, my God, those guys are letter of the law on that pitch clock.
What do you?
right
Yeah.
now.
Do you think? I saw someone point out on Twitter. Like in the NFL, the play clock, do they snap it right at 0 or just a half beat after?
Give them that beat.
They just let him get that beat. They're not letting him get that beat.
No. There's no beat.
And while I've enjoyed the pitch clock, I did feel bad for Josh Hader.
Yes.
He's trying to keep a runner on second.
Yes.
He's doing his job. Like, I can't let this guy steal over to third
Yeah.
with one out. So he gave him an extra look. You know what? When you look away,
Boom.
you're not looking at the pitch clock anymore because it's the other direction. You come back, you set, you're ready to go. You pitch maybe half a second after the 0 strikes.
So I was reading,
and you lose a ball. Ended up being critical. There's another bad call. Josh Hader only threw 2 balls to who was the first guy who had walked like twice all season. He threw 2 balls to him, had a pitch clock violation and a bad call by the umpire.
That's right.
For the other 2 balls that ended up loading the bases, helping force in the winning run.
Was reading the article in the
Athletic.
As you know, the players poll, they put it out yesterday, and they were talking to the players about the new rules, and a lot of guys, obviously speaking anonymously, said, dude, every ballpark has its own rules with the pitch clock. Some start it when the ball is like thrown around the infield, or they're starting it at different times, and they all kind of agree, hey, we all kind of dig this. We're getting home a little earlier, and the games are much crisper, but you need to have more uniformity as to when you actually start it. They said some ballparks are faster than others. It's very, very weird. So now you got to worry about that when you're on the mound. Like, where are we playing tonight? Cincinnati? Oh, this guy runs it real tight. I better get my ass and
I
get on the
get
ball.
that, grass can be longer at certain ballparks. Clocks should always be the same.
It should always be the same.
Tick, tick. It's a second is a second is a second, no matter where you are. Grant Brisbee probably has some thoughts on all of this. He's a star at the Athletic.
Who does he write for?
He writes for the Athletic.
I'm sure Woods has read every single word.
Every word he's ever written.
He's written. Grant is coming up next with us here on 97.3 The Fan. This hour on The Fan is brought to you by Hamul Casino. Looking for a genuinely awesome job? Hamul Casino is looking for you. If you're a fun, positive person over 18, check out their job fair. That's tomorrow from 1 to 4 p.m. They offer competitive pay, generous benefits, and plenty of team member perks. Learn more at hamulcareers.com. Oh, the Giants are the anti-Padres right now. On a long winning streak. Didn't have huge expectations, almost no expectations going into this season. Comfortably above 500 and holding on to one of the wild card spots in the National League playoff race. How are they doing it? I don't know, but we'll ask Grant Brisbee, who covers the team for The Athletic, right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Kia of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Tannick.
Traffic is sponsored by California Coast Credit Union. Got a collision on the coastline now, southbound side of the 5, right before La Costa. That is being cleared out of the fast lane. Traveling on the westbound 8 just before Severn. Got a car fire in the clearing stage. That is over to the right shoulder. California Coast Credit Union is here to make home buying easy. Whether you're a first-time buyer or looking to refinance, CalCoast has a solution. 0 closing cost home loans available. Visit calcoastcu.org. Restrictions apply. Equal housing lender. I'm Kelly Danik with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, let's go out to our premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. We've been chasing this guy for quite some time.
So excited.
Very excited to welcome the Athletics' Grant Brisbee onto the program here on 97.3 The Fan. Grant on with Ben Woods. We got Paul here as well. Good morning to you.
How are you doing this morning?
Oh, we've been better, Grant, but I'm happier now. I've tweeted at you a few times over the years. I love your stuff, obviously, and great work. But your excuse was always just early. I just can't really do early. So you waited to the last segment of the day, and I just wanted to tell you I really appreciate it. What keeps you from getting up early, Grant?
It's not getting up early. I mean, if I can hack it, I'll sleep in until 10. But it's getting the kids out, and, making lunches and boring dad stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Giant games start 5 minutes after the Padres start.
Yes, that
those are
5
late
minutes.
nights.
Those 5 minutes have really taken a toll on me. By the way, the last couple of nights, that and blowing leads and just melting down in general. What is it like? We'd love to know here in San Diego, Grant, to be, watch the team roll off 9 consecutive wins. Got to be fun, I imagine.
It is, and I'm not a fan per se of the team anymore now that I'm, all fancy and professional.
Yep.
But it's more fun to cover. It's more fun to write about a team that is winning and finding ways to win and has a dull game for 8 innings, and then all of a sudden you look up and it's tied in the 9th and the crowd's raucous. That's just a lot of fun. So yeah, it's been a blast, and that it's a little bit like a sand painting, and it might go away at any moment, but while it's going on, it's one of the best times to be a writer.
Okay, that's kind of interesting. I mean, it's a good perspective to have, I think. Certainly on paper, the Padres look like they're a more talented team than the Giants. They're certainly paying a lot more for the team than the Giants.
Well, and especially in the first 5-6 innings too. You're like, oh, okay, we got these guys.
What when you look at the Padres roster compared to the Giants roster, I mean, if you could, with no financial ramifications, would you pluck a bunch of guys from the Padres and say, let's make the Giants better? Or would that be foolish to take, guys from a losing team and try to put them onto a winning team?
Oh, I could make a list. I could make a list of guys I'd pluck. Yeah, absolutely. I did a statistical roundup of things that caught my eye about the Giants this week. And while I was doing it, I kept seeing the Padres in statistics that suggested that they should be better. And I know that Padres fans don't want to hear it. I know that when they're losing and blowing leads, that it's just, this team stinks. They're playing, below expectations. But under the hood, you can see that this team is good. They're good at preventing runs. They're good at catching the ball. They're doing a lot of things right. You can see it in their runs scored, runs allowed differential. They've scored more runs than they've allowed. Padres fans don't want to hear it, but this is where the Giants were like 2-3 weeks ago. They were under 500. They were comfortably under 500. And I kept looking at the roster and going, nah, they should be better than this. They should be better than this. And I'd write it, And the people in the comments would go, "Oh my gosh, not this again, not the Giants should be better nonsense." But I have that feeling about the Padres. I'm not buying this under 500 stuff. I think the NL West is going to have 4 strong teams fighting it out for the rest of the season.
We're talking to our pal Grant Brisbee, writes for The Athletic, covers the Giants here on Ben and Woods this morning. I wanted to ask you this as an outsider that, watches a lot of baseball. And, I read the articles about Gabe Kapler. So you cover the team and probably know Gabe. And I'm just kind of curious as the general consensus. We know the manager gets hired to be fired. People here calling for Bob Melvin's head. I kind of think that's ridiculous. But what is the kind of the general consensus on Gabe Kapler, his management style, and just what is he like as a guy to cover?
He's an interesting cat. He is incredibly thoughtful, like just incredibly. There isn't a lot of accident in his managerial style. There isn't a lot of gut necessarily, and it's when he makes a decision, he can justify it and he can do it eloquently. He can say, well, here's why I made this move, and here are the 6 moves I anticipated down the way. And you might disagree with those anticipations, but he is thinking about what he's doing at every step of the way. One thing that you don't hear about anymore are his bullpen decisions. When he came over from Philadelphia, Phillies fans are going, "Oh my gosh, this guy, he doesn't know how to manage a bullpen. He's this, that." Well, when the Giants have a bullpen that's working, it's really seamless. Just the way that you have guys who aren't overtaxed. You have a bullpen that is, it's got a Tommy John survivor who's Luke Jackson, who's pitching well. And it would be very easy to ride that hot hand, but no, he gets plenty of rest. He's put in situations where he's not ground into a fine powder. So I think the bullpen management, knowing who's fresh, having that sense that you can talk to him and say, you know what, my elbow's a little bit barky today. I back off me. There's the trust, the buy-in from the pitchers, and it's worked pretty well. So when the Giants have arms to play with, the bullpen tends to be a key strength.
And speaking of the bullpen, Giants expected to have another bullpen day today. So they're doing all of this, Grant.
Man.
9 wins in a row with a starting pitching staff that's really down right now with injuries, yet they're going to try to manage through another 9 innings like they did on Monday.
Yeah, it's fascinating because they've had seasons. 2021 is a tremendous outlier season, 107 wins. The bullpen was really good, but by September, and certainly into October, they were tired. They rode that bullpen hard. Lots of players pitching on 0 days rest, lots of heavy innings for short, late inning relievers. This bullpen is different. So when you're saying it's a bullpen game, that conjures up images of, okay, they're going to go for this guy for 1, this guy for the second inning. They're going to have 8 different pitchers over the course of the game. The Giants have like a sneaky 9-man rotation, for lack of a better term. It's not quite a bullpen. They have all these guys that they feel comfortable going for 4 innings, for 5 innings if they're pitching well. They've got Sean Manaea. They have Keaton Winn. They have Tristan Beck, Jacob Junis. These are not relievers in the classic sense. These are like old school relievers. These are like the relievers you would see in 1950, where you would put them in after the starting pitcher was struggling and they'd give you 4 innings. But they're using that to their advantage. They're getting this length, and their bullpen is fresh. Other than Camilo Doval, who's just not going to be affected by this, their high leverage relievers are fresh because you have these guys like Tristan Beck, who can give you 4 innings at the end of a blowout when you might be tempted to use these arms and oh, well, how are we going to get these innings? We got to use Tyler Rogers. We got to use Taylor Rogers just as a matter of practice. But now you can slot a guy in like Tristan Beck or Jacob Junis and say, take us the rest of the way. And it saves the bullpen, and then they get rest like a starter. They don't pitch for the next 3-4 days. And it's like a sneaky 8-9-man rotation.
It's crazy. And of course, the architect of the San Francisco Giants, always an interesting character, Farhan Zaidi. I contended a couple of years ago with the magical season that you guys had up there in the Bay Area. My hypothesis was, oh no, this is probably the last thing Farhan wanted, was to go out and win that many games and kind of put them up against it and say, oh God, now we have to make moves at the deadline and now we have to try to win. This is great. He had a plan when he got there, and I think everybody kind of knew his plan. Plans change in baseball, and we're seeing it right now in San Diego, Grant. Our plans have changed. I mean, no more win in the West. It's now, can we skate into a wild card? As you see it from your perspective, What is the Giants' plan now? I love the young guys that they've called up. Obviously, you have some depth and talent there. You went for Correa in the offseason. We all know how that went. What is the plan, do you think, for the San Francisco Giants moving forward?
It's really kind of simple and boring in a way. It's just you have 26 roster spots. Make them the best 26 roster spots you can. I mean, that sounds like a generic, like
We tried that.
Snap.
We've
You
tried
treat
that.
on a Snap-a-lid, like, hey, just
Yeah.
get good players, dummy. But it's kind of true. I mean, it's the Giants looked at their roster and they surveyed the vast, 800 players they could pick to put at first base. And they looked and they said, you know, we like Lamont Wade Jr. We think that there's something there. We think that there's something we can weaponize. We think that the swing decisions are good, the underlying hitting metrics, the exit velocity, whatever. We can work with this. And they were right. I mean, that's just sort of the MO. They're not thinking 3 steps ahead. They're not thinking like, oh, well, who is he blocking? What's the opportunity cost of, having Lamont Wade Jr.? Who are we missing out on? They just can look at their players and evaluate their talent properly with great precision. They did it with Tyro Estrada too. They did it with J.D. Davis. They looked at J.D. Davis and said, nah, there's defense in there to unlock. And they were right. They didn't buy into the idea that he was a DH playing third base, which was the rap when he was in New York. They saw a very, very strong arm. They saw good hand-eye coordination. They said, no, we can work with this. And that's just the idea, is they can take what they have and try and weaponize it. It didn't work last year. And so you thought maybe the sheen is off, maybe the magic is gone. But when they're right, they're taking players, polishing up, doing what they do well, and kind of expanding on it. And whenever the Giants are above 500, you're going to look at players and go, how in the heck are they getting it out of that guy?
100%.
And it's just, they're just polishing it up in a very targeted way.
Talking to Grant Brisbee from The Athletic, covering the Giants, and you've been following this team for a very long time. So, Grant, I'm curious if there is a reaction and what the reaction is from Giants fans about Bruce Bochy returning to the dugout and having some immediate success with the Texas Rangers. I know it was mixed when they let him kind of go and he sort of retired in the first place.
It's wild. I don't hear about it at all.
Nope.
I mean, I really don't. Just talking to people around town, you talk with on Twitter. I just don't hear about it.
It's not like seeing an
sometimes
ex with a new girlfriend or anything like that.
It's sort of like, you meet, you pass each other in the grocery store and you say, gosh, you look great. I hope you're doing well. It's kind of like that. And I think part of that is the success the Giants had in 2021. And part of it is, I think that's most of it, to be honest. I think it's great that Bochy is doing what he's doing in Texas. I mean, Texas, what a story that is. I'm surprised that he is managing. I thought he would enjoy retirement a little bit more. I know that I think I would enjoy retirement quite a bit. But it's fantastic. And I think the idea is that if that's what's making him happy, we'll see you in the World Series. I mean, not really, but that's the idea. It's kind of like when Benji Molina was traded to the Rangers in 2010, and then he came back with the Rangers in the World Series. It was just, hey, we made this decision. We feel justified. It was the right decision going to Buster Posey. But how you doing, man? That's great that you're on the other team, and it feels like that.
So he says Giants fans are able to let go and wish you well, because there's still people that lament, that Bochy's there and not here. And you're from the Bay Area. I'm sure you've heard plenty about Bob Melvin and know about him, but it's been a rough few months to start the season here. Grant, for Bob and all the players as well, and certainly the fans.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Giants fans were not good at letting go. Trust me, I was one of the main not letting goers, for most of my early career, because the Giants, there was always something that went wrong for the Giants. There was always a trap door. There was always Scott Spezio in the 2002 World Series. There was always Jose Cruz Jr. dropping a fly ball in 2003. There was always something that would prevent the Giants from winning the World Series. So the Giants fans were experts at not letting things go. And then, with success, it creates arrogance, but it also creates like this kind of freedom where you can look at Bruce Bochy and say, that happened over there. That was outstanding. But I think this fits better for what we're doing now. So, best of both worlds.
Well, Grant, we truly appreciate you neglecting your kids so you could join us
Yes.
this morning, finally, on Ben and Woods. Tell them what we apologize for stealing you away, but we really did enjoy it.
No, I'm actually in a car looking at
Oh.
my daughter play soccer right now.
Very
So,
well.
I mean, that's how.
All right, go get out of the car. Go back to what you were doing. Thank you, Grant.
Thanks so much, Grant.
You got it. Thanks for having me on.
Grant Brisby from The Athletic and our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads.
Interesting philosophies, and talking about evaluating players and talking about adding players and getting the best players available. It's weird that it works. You see it work, and you want that. You want that for yourself. You want that for Padres fans.
From a voice and cadence standpoint, did he sound like Jesse Agler to you?
A little bit, yeah.
I got a lot of Jesse.
Oh yeah,
in
Somebody in
Grant's
the chat
voice
said
right there.
Sam Levitt.
Yeah, I'm sure they're tight. I'm sure Jesse and Grant know each other well.
I would think so. But it's I was like, oh, am I talking to Jesse? No, but the insight, the patter, very, very Jesse like right there. That's
Yeah.
a compliment, by the way, to
No,
both of them.
Absolutely.
Because I like both of them tremendously, and it was good to finally talk to Grant about these Giants, who will be going for their 10th win in a row tonight. Game 3 of this series that becomes even more critical for your San Diego Padres.
I gotta tell you, man, I'm in full blown panic mode about tonight. Full blown, just as panicked as I can be, based on what we're looking at as far as Yu Darvish in San Francisco. It's about as ugly as you can get.
If you ever needed a complete game shutout out of a starting pitcher, today would maybe be the day I pull out that card. Yu Darvish is certainly capable of going deep into a ball game if he pitches well. And the starting pitching has not been the problem for the San Diego Padres. They need some offense. They need one of the two. They need either Yu Darvish to pitch at least 7 or 8 tonight,
Benny,
or they need the offense to score like 8 or 9 runs tonight. One of the two.
His struggles in that ballpark. We talked about it this week of like, hey man, it's still a mound. You got your catcher back there. Do your job like you normally do. I don't know what it is. Paulie asked the question the other day. I have no idea. Hitting makes a little bit more sense. I love this batter's eye, man. You can see. I love that it's a little bit cloudy there all the time. Makes for great hitting. Whatever. Yu Darvish, guys, at Oracle, his ERA is 10. It's above 10. It's the worst he has in any ballpark in the league. And also, you've got now this bullpen that you don't really trust. You don't really trust guys. I'm not saying it's going to take a miracle to win tonight because we're still, we have a capability of being a good baseball team, but the numbers certainly don't bear it out.
I'm looking at the weather forecast, kind of like last night. Not horrible. I know you has struggled early in the season. We can be really kind of cold and maybe harder to get the grip that he wants on his pitches up there. Hopefully not like that in San Francisco tonight, but you do never know. It's as unpredictable as you're going to get in the summer.
No time
when it
like
comes to weather.
The present to get over the Oracle hump for Yu Darvish. We need him. We need him badly tonight. And the offense, again, has to come out and do their job. We're waiting. We're waiting to see it.
All right, we'll be back tomorrow at 6 a.m. Coach John Quintera is coming up next for executive producer Paul Rydell and Stephen Woods. I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, everybody, from all of us at San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Oh, don't forget about our YouTube stream tonight, too.